Hello, one and all. It's weekly manga recap time because it's Wednesday night, and that's what we do on Wednesday nights. Is we do a weekly manga recap podcast show, and just like this, the July 23rd episode, we're gonna be talking about some good and some bad things.
We also, we also very frequently talk with animals on our shoulders. It's just, don't pay too much attention to it. Nick's just a pirate now, but instead of a parrot, he has a cat.
Man, can you imagine how very different pirates would be if they had cats around with them? Because instead of oh, my weird, annoying tropical bird, they'd just be like, look at him, look at my little my little guy go. Look at him.
Nick, how are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. It's a weird day, honestly, for me.
Yeah.
My wife is away for a little bit, which is why he's keeping me company. Normally, she kind of is watching him to make sure he doesn't get into trouble when we were recording. But had a lot of different weird things happen today.
Oh.
A lot of good though. Some on the geekery end, which we'll talk a little bit later when it comes to the relevant stuff. But I don't know. It was just a really weird day. It's been a really weird couple of days because I haven't really lived on my own in a while since I got married, and it's always strange whenever Nicole is absent because I'm like, it's so quiet now.
What do I do with my hands?
What do I do?
I'm currently deeply annoyed, Nick.
What for?
So my mom called me earlier today. And to give you the context, my mom's phone call is not a ton of fun. It's usually pretty annoying. I tend to just send them to voicemail. But this was a situation. I'm fine openly talking about this. I'm pretty uncomfortable with who I am. I picked up this time because I knew that something was going on in her life that was a little stressful. So I was like, I want to, try to be there as a lifeline to reach out to. And, I'm just telling her about my day, just trying to distract her. I'm really feeling like the good daughter energy coming in. I'm like, I'm incredible. Like, I'm answering this phone call. I'm really sharing. Like, I'm being fantastic today. And, the conversation turns to the topic of my boyfriend. And my mom is trying to be basically trying to check on the timelines of a relationship to be like, oh, are you guys doing this or whatever? And she starts suggesting stuff that's, a little bit down the line or whatever. And to be clear, moving in was the thing. I don't want people thinking worried it was something else. She was talking moving in together. And I was like, well, it's something we're considering, but we're still kind of early in. And I swear to God, she says, well, you should hurry, because you're kind of old. And I was like, fucking excuse me?
You're one to talk, Mom.
I was like, I get I'm not a spring chicken, but fuck off.
Oh, back in my day, you would have been considered.
You would have been the old wench in town. They'd have been calling you old maid and playing a card game about you. I'm like, fuck off.
I can understand being annoyed by that, yes, because that's definitely the kind of thing that comes up, and it's like, okay.
Just one of those things of thanks for the advice, Mom. Gotta get going. Bye. Always lovely talking to you.
Oh boy. I never had that problem, fortunately.
It's certainly nice not to be called old by your parents. We have so many chapters to talk about, Nick. We should probably get into talking about some of them. And I
suppose we should do it.
I believe we're going to be starting with Ichi the Witch, 43rd Hunt, plenty.
Yeah, plenty. Gokuraku, of course, was a little bit nervous about going to see the Mantano Witches Association last chapter because, of course, he, messed things up for a lot of them by interfering in their. Yes, there's still a cat
It's
behind me.
so fucking cute. He's oh, he's on the chair now. Okay, I thought he was on your back and still doing it, but this is still so adorable. Professor Peanuts would never. He would jump on my desk, fart, and then leave. It has
I have
done
business
that.
here. Business completed.
It has absolutely done that previously in my life.
So, Gokuraku had previously interfered in a lot of the acquisition trials that witches had because, he was beating up magics that they were going after. And so now they're kind of interrogating him. It's Togeis and Monogold and Shirabadona. And so Monogold asks him to start things off, why are you here? And he says that he's there to apologize and also to make a declaration. And he's very upfront and comes very clean about everything that he did. Look, I thought that I was doing the right thing. I had my reasons, but I also understand that I did screw you guys over by doing that. If you have any punishments that you see fit for me, okay. You can toss me in prison if you need to. So that's his apology. His declaration is, whatever sentence you have me serve, after that, I'm going to join Ichi, and we're going to go do magic hunts together. So Monogold brings up the problem of he's basically saying that means he's going to continue that pattern of problematic behavior for them by just saying like, oh, and once I'm done with this, I'm going to go and beat up more magics. And he doesn't back down on that. He's like, yep, that is what I'm going to do. Look, Bakagami, all that threat has passed, but still hate magics. They ruined my life, so I am still going to punch them as much as I can, but before I punch any of them, I'll consult with Ichi first. Which I don't know if that's at all reassuring to any of the witches. Oh yes, the boy who is defined by a kill first, ask questions later instinct. He'll tell Gokuraku when to not punch things. That's great.
No, he's going to be really considerate going forward. He's going to, really think through the consequences of his actions. He's certainly not just going to spontaneously decide things in his instinctual moments.
No, he takes a very, very thorough look at everything in the 0.1 seconds it takes between him sensing danger and stabbing the danger.
Yeah. He's gonna take a real big deep breath. It's gonna be after he's already killed the thing. But he is going to take a real deep, calming breath and think about things after that's happened. It's called growing up, Nick.
Sure. Gokuraku declares that he's going to use his strength for Ichi's sake, which is okay. But it's still left up to the Witches Association to decide what to do. So Monogold turns to Ichi and says, you think you can keep him under control? And Ichi's like, yeah! He's super excited about this. But then he says, and Komugi will keep me under control, which Komugi is very caught off guard by. And then Deskura says, yeah, Komugi will also keep me under control, which was, I thought that was not even anywhere even on the table.
I was like, no one was questioning who was going to keep Deskura under control. Everyone just assumed she could handle herself.
And Togeis is like, why are you saying that you need to be kept under control? What's wrong with you? So, Monogold says, like, all right, I've heard you guys out, but I want to hear someone else's opinion on this. And we are introduced to the Wands and Tools Department's Lovejoe, who has very shaggy hair and freckles that seem to be contained entirely within her glasses, honestly. It's quite impressive. They don't go anywhere below that, it doesn't seem like. But she comes in looking all serious and then spots Gokuraku and is immediately like, holy shit, your entire body is basically made of modifications. That's crazy. She goes on a big rant while circling around him, examining him and stuff, and wanting to basically dissect him to figure out how the hell everything works. But she asks, hey, how the hell did you even learn about magic tech stuff? And Gokuraku explains, like, oh, there were records in our archives. and also I watched the way the crafters worked, so he just kind of seemingly picked it up from here and there. The supplementary materials that make up his body come from the Kagami mines, which makes sense. There was a whole thing established about they had like gems and all that stuff, so he had access to certain raw materials as the prince of the nation, even if he was banished. She also asks if there have been any rejection symptoms from him heavily modifying his body like this, and he says, "It seems like it's pretty stable as long as with the stuff that I had from Kagami." So she's interested by that bit of information. But anyway, Monogold's like, "What do you think?" And she says, "I don't really need any further. Yeah, this guy's a genius. He's got incredible technical skill, incredible knowledge, and no one sane is going to test stuff directly on themselves. He's got advanced technology even we could never imagine. So if we were to put him in prison, that'd be a waste." So Shirabadona speaks up and says, "All right, I appoint Gokura Kagami the position of special adjunct. Adjunct,
Adjunct, right? Adjunct faculty.
I think so.
I think so. It's one of those words you only ever hear every so often.
Yes, in basically this context
Yeah.
of like someone's weird assignment. We get a very goofy panel of Shirabadona, who turns into a blob, except for like all of her like defining features, which is a very cutesy panel. And she says, "Yeah, you're an official associate of the Witches Association now. We've got all the various permissions already set to go, and so they just made it official. And he's got a little badge now, this star medallion thing."
Mm-hmm.
And Monogold says, "Look, we've decided that you are useful to us right now, so yes, you are allowed to continue to accompany Ichi on his quest, assist him in his endeavors, and that's all we need. That will let you atone for your past crimes." Hooray! That was very, very easy, but kind of necessary for Gokuraku to be able to go on with the party, ultimately. Descaris points out how smoothly it went, and kind of teases Monogold over it, like, "Oh, you sure like putting on a charade. Like this whole big trial thing was like, obviously just a little show." But more business has to be conducted, so Shirabadona leads Team Descaris off so that they can get their stuff submitted for maintenance, and Gokuraku is brought over to the fashion department. Decora Frill is in charge of the fashion department. Decora Frill. It's a good thing she's part of the fashion department, because what are you going to do with a name like that?
I know. It's like Whitney Merciless becoming like an NFL defensive tackle. You're like, yeah, that's what you got to do when you have that name. You don't have another choice, really. You can't be like a tax man, like we're merciless taxes or frilly taxes. Well, frilly taxes sounds good.
I have to imagine the Decora Frill is from the South, because she says, "Oh, my stars, I got to make another man's uniform. My little fingers are itching to get started."
I deeply hope we see a lot of Decora Frill, because then that means that we're presumably going to be seeing a lot of really great costume changes, and I'm super here for that.
We get a big 2-page spread after that, showing off everyone's outfits. And yeah, Gokuraku's got so much dapper now. He's got a sweater underneath a nice jacket, underneath a second nice jacket.
I assume that the pattern with the stars or whatever is like the insider lining for his thing, and that seems like it would be a fucking pain in the ass to draw. I mean, Descaros already has like a pretty ornate, like kind of like neck choker thing going on, but for some reason I'm looking at the pattern of that jacket and I'm like, I wonder if like that jacket is the first thing that gets destroyed when a fight breaks out.
So yeah, new Team Descaris, big thing, introducing everyone looking all confident, and Kamugi, she's there too, not looking confident. But Shirabadona says that they are now ready for their official debut. Stogies brings up, like, our contest, that whole thing. and Ichi has forgotten about it this whole time. He was, saving a kingdom and all that stuff. And he's like, "All right, the mushroom." And Togiai says, "Yeah, technically the results of our contest don't call for it, but I conceded defeat. So, per the terms of our agreement, you are now going to make your official worldwide debut. So there's going to be a big debut party held for him to make this announcement." And Shirabadona unfurls a comically long scroll saying that they have all these different things in place, including media outlets, world dignitaries showing up. They're going to broadcast it to rural areas. So each is going to be a world recognized celebrity, which makes sense considering he is going to be the one male witch, which will probably change the way that people react to him when they encounter them now.
Yes.
But on the guest list that Shirabadona unfurls, Kumugi spots something and reacts to it, as there's the name Spica Harvest, who is her sister. And that's our
okay.
Yeah.
It's it's a good chapter. It's a little odd of a cliffhanger, but I'm assuming based on Kamugi's reaction, she isn't super close with her sister. So I guess that is the implication. That's the danger.
Or their relationship is a source of some distress for her in some capacity.
Yes.
I look forward to this because it's not. I mean, it's not like Kumugi was like super neglected during the past arc, but she was definitely a background character. And given that we're this deep into the series and she hasn't really gotten to do a whole lot, it'll be nice to see her maybe get a little bit of focus and potentially some character development.
Yes, I would like to see Kumugi get something. There was like, I don't know if this is necessarily how the world sees it, but there was a recent chapter of me and Roboco where Roboco just one by one explains why she is exactly like all of the Jump heroines for the various series running in Jump at the time. And when they did Ichi the Witch, it was Descaros who they used and not Kumugi. So I'm glad if she's gained any focus because she truly felt like one of those characters who could easily like slip into the background for another like 40 chapters.
Yeah. Just kind of be the helper sort of person.
Yeah.
Well, Blue Box.
Blue Box.
Chapter 204, The Possibilities. With a very nice kind of watercolor looking color picture of Ayame, Nina, and Hina hanging out together, ordering some dessert. I'm not sure exactly what kind it is.
That definitely seems like a real look. Yeah, I mean, some of it's soup. Some, I mean, that just seems like just a restaurant. I don't know. But it does look like that's a photo of a real place, and then the drawings on top of it.
Oh yeah. I think you're right.
It's pretty cool.
It's the last day of the big class trip that the group has taken. Hina is awake before Ayame and Nina, and she's kind of staring wistfully out at the sunrise through the window when Ayame wakes up. Apparently, they all had difficulty sleeping, with like the exciting class trip and the eventful day that they had. Hina checks in, doesn't really say it, but he's like, "Hey, are you okay after the breakup thing?" And she's like, "Yeah, it's fine. I'm just like always like this when I travel. This is not because of that whole thing. I'll be super fine once I eat breakfast." And then they are going to do stuff. They go to Arashiyama. Nina's still like, "I'm so tired. It's the last day of the vacation. Everyone's tired, kind of day." The other girls that have been part of their group are not there. They're like, "No, we're going somewhere else." They just completely vanish at some point off screen. So the three of them go off somewhere else. They end up running into Taiki's group. So Taiki, guy who wants a boyfriend. That'd be an interesting twist. Guy who wants a girlfriend. That's how it's resolved, is that he realizes he's not actually interested in women. That's how he resolves his character.
He's like, I've been so obsessed with it because I felt like I had to, when it's actually been this deep shame within my life, but I finally feel free for it. And I'm like, sorry, I still don't know your name.
Yeah, it doesn't solve the problem. And Kyo, of course. So they show up, and there is like a little joke, which is like, oh, this is this bridge. It's named this way because the moon looks like it's crossing the bridge, and Naomi makes the little joke of like, oh, I guess that makes us the moon. It's like, But Kyo kind of chuckles when the guys show up. Girlfriend wanting boy says, all girls are as beautiful as the moon, and like, all right.
I must not have even paid attention to that first line.
He also goes on to say, oh, do you guys know the curse associated with this place? Supposedly if a couple's crossing the bridge and they look backward, they'll break up. And Taiki looks at him and is like, what are you doing?
The guy's trying to like crane his head.
It's like, oh, there's just something wonderful behind you that you should turn around and look at. And Taiki's like, only I'm here. The couple's not walking the bridge.
It doesn't work that way, I'm pretty sure.
It might. And so he's like, and Taiki's like, stop trying to break us up. We're not going to break up. And then there is a scream from somewhere, like someone yelling excitedly, and everyone turns around. And Naomi says, you looked back. And so Taiki's like, no, I just turned around. And he just fully turns and starts walking the other way. And Kyo's like, stop that. You stop that. It's dangerous. I really like, this is one of my favorite tiny goofy exchanges that we see from this group of characters occasionally. This was I thought that this is actually really funny stuff.
This has been a very fun little class trip. These guys have actually had a lot of fun with each other.
Ayame brings up that they've got to like get souvenirs for the rest of the badminton club, but people are like, oh no, I got some of those and stuff. So as they're discussing it, Hina's thinking, of course, about like the little souvenir that she got, which is the victory charm for Haruto. While they're hanging out, and Taiki's like, thinking about like, oh, we gotta get some more stuff because like as a class trip, we also have to get souvenirs for our teachers. Man, I would be bad at being a Japanese student. I'm so bad at getting gifts for people, like all this obligatory stuff. Like, so as they're looking around, Kyo happens to look at Ayame and sees that she's changed her hair ties. They've got like a classic design on them, a classic Japanese design. And Ayame is like, oh yeah, I got them at the shop yesterday, put them on, and they match it. And I really like that she's proud of it, not because like, oh, I'm so great. It's like they match with Hina's hair ties, they match with Nina's hairpin, so it's like, oh, we're all matchy because we're besties on the class trip together.
So adorable.
And she says like, yeah, it's cute, right? And Kyo's like, yeah, cute. And there's a brief pause, and then Kyo turns around and is like, yeah, I want to get some for my little sister. Slams the door after that comment, but Ayame isn't buying it. She's like, he's not just like him. He was looking at me when he said that. He wasn't looking at the hair ties. So maybe there's hope for these idiots after all, Quinn, if they're starting to actually notice things.
Yes.
More sightseeing, bamboo stalks that are like redwood size, basically going way high up into the air. And Hina's like, how the hell is that possible? Like, how does bamboo grow to be that long? And Kyo gives a little lesson, which is based off of something he saw in his little brother's encyclopedic dictionary, which is apparently the parts where the bamboo stalk bulges. It acts like a node, which disperses force, which allows it to endure more stuff and to grow longer. I learned something.
There you go.
And then a teacher shows up, and he's like, it's just like life.
Yo. I fucking hated this teacher the second he came up. Yeah. I was like, this teacher seems so annoying. Like, they immediately come up and they're like, time to wax philosophic with you students. Like, please don't. I don't want to know you're here, actually.
We've also never met this guy before, I don't think. Mr. Aoyagi, the language teacher, he says, life is full of such junctures, too. It's not just obvious events like college or graduating. Everyone's walked away from him.
Everyone's like, no one was talking about this. We were talking about bamboo. I know you're trying to turn bamboo into another thing, but like no one was talking about our lives.
He's a language teacher. Everything with him has to be a metaphor for something more deep, more meaningful.
Oh my god, this guy, like 2 years from now, becomes the Riddler. Like he just goes insane.
So he talks about, like, there are all sorts of junctures in your life that you kids might not even be aware of. Sometimes you might have to encounter a situation where you have to give up something, or you have to challenge yourself with something new. And as time goes on, those things will happen to you over and over and over again. Those important moments. And every time you'll learn to absorb the impact and grow even stronger.
Okay.
Anyway, let's talk about bamboo some more. Bye, Mr. Aoyagi.
Thanks, Aoyagi. Whatever. Please don't follow us.
He says out loud, "You kids never listen to what I have to say," and it feels like with good reason.
Yeah, dude. No one wants you to just walk up and start talking about like fucking life. I don't know, dude.
It's really funny to see, like, this would be like potentially a moment with an established teacher whose opinion and views we respect as a member of the cast could have said something and everyone would be like, "Oh wow." But because he's just a guy we've never really gotten to know before, he's like, "God, why is the teacher making us learn things on our big class trip?"
I cannot stress enough how annoying this guy is. Because it's like the only this is how you know like an adult is writing this series and not like a secret like teenager or something like that. Because this is only the shit we'd want to do. Like everyone like dreams like, now that I'm such older and wiser, I shall saunter in front of these students and impart life lessons to them unsolicited for their reviews, and they'll all pay attention. Like they all still ignore him at the end, but the fact that they like stop to look at him at all,
they're
like
not talking over it.
Like
yeah.
I would have definitely like rolled my eyes and been like, "Mr. Aogi's on another one. Can we get going?"
Oh boy, Taiki is kind of distracted after that, kind of just like looking up in the air, thinking to himself. And when Kyo realizes he's staring into space, like, "Hey, what's up?" And he says, "I'm just thinking about how great school trips are. We've been out here for a few days, and I've just gotten to see a whole lot of things. And when I think about how much work went into building all the stuff we've seen, all the shrines and temples, they seem like these huge, enormous undertakings, and makes me realize I'm kind of insignificant as an individual human being. But I don't mean that like in a negative sense. It's the fact that there are people out there who can accomplish such amazing things while I'm really small and trivial, and it makes me excited about the possibilities that lie between us." As in, he doesn't say this explicitly, but he's still just a kid, and he's got a lifetime of possibilities ahead of him that he's excited about.
Yes.
And
this is good advice.
Kyo takes that in, and we again kind of like look around at some of like the tourist attractions and stuff that they're looking through, and Taiki's still being like amazed by everything. Kyo takes that in, and he's like, yeah, I get that. Yeah. You never know what'll happen in the future, basically. The other girls from Hina and Ayame's group meet up with them. Girlfriend wanting boy has not gotten a girlfriend, and it's basically time to go home. So he's like clinging to a pole, like, "No, it's not too late. I can still." And let me tell you, if there's one way to get a girlfriend,
it's making public tantrums.
Ayame is also kind of like, "Oh, I want to stay too," and she's like got like 5 bags of souvenirs under her arms at this point. She's been getting souvenirs for everybody, but she's like, there was so much that we got to do. There was so much fun, but this, I want more. Like this wasn't enough time to do this. I took so many photos that my phone died, and they're like, yeah, okay, well, got that. Actually, sorry, I misspoke. Hina, in agreement with Ayame, says, "Oh yeah, I took so many photos that my phone died." And he was like, "Oh yeah, we'll be able to charge it on the train once we're on board, though." But then they look around and realize, like, what the hell? Arakawa and the other girls are gone again. Where do these guys keep on going to? They keep on vanishing. So, worried about the group being separated, Hina says, like, okay, I'll go find them. And she rushes off to the last place that anyone saw them, which is the ticket gate. But basically, just as she departs, Arakawa and the others show up at the group. And Hina is getting lost in the crowd of people. And as she's trying to make her way through the crowds, the charm falls out of the back pocket of her backpack and falls to the ground. And so she pauses it to pick it up. And everyone's late for the train. They have to rush on board. And because of all the delays, Hina doesn't make it. So she's stuck there on her own with no working phone. Well, that's not good.
Yeah, I mean, boy, this is definitely like an anxiety stress situation that I've feared in my life. Is like, well, what if I got trapped somewhere with no phone? How trustworthy do I think Hina's like life survival skills are? Because there's certain characters who, if this happened, you'd be like, oh, they're dead. Hina seems relatively capable.
It's hard to say because it's going to depend. They established, like, okay, you know, you'll be able to charge your phone at some point. So is there like a public outlet before she gets on the train that she can use? Does she have a charger that'll work that way? Or does she have to actually go somewhere where there are specifically like all the hardware to do that?
I assume they meant on the train you can charge it.
Yeah. So she's got to get on the train for one thing. In which case, okay, you got money to do that. You guys have been spending so much money on fucking souvenirs. Like, I don't know if you got that.
You ain't got anything left. You've been buying souvenirs for everyone you know.
So, yeah. We'll see about that. We'll also see if anyone else, like, stayed too, because they were, like, worried about her or something like that. Because in this last page, she says, I'm alone. I'm all alone. And as far as you know, I mean,
Yeah.
like, it's entirely possible someone's like, Hina didn't make it. We better make sure that she's okay. Like, you know, but
Kyo's like, hey, I'm here still too, by the way. Because he's always where you least expect.
I just did feel like going in.
He's been so good at showing up whenever anyone else has been like when it would be convenient dramatically for him to appear. So like maybe this is just his trip. Like maybe he's just fucking stronger in this region of Japan.
It's great to just have a series like this where the most horrible thing, the big cliffhanger that we have to worry about is, oh no, someone missed the train. And as opposed to the giant kaiju demon is gonna destroy everything unless we beat it. This one, she missed the train.
Oh God!
It has. Also, it's like, man, that sucks though. Hina, no.
It has me so much more stressed than like, will Tokyo survive? I'm like, I don't, maybe, probably. And I know probably Hina will also survive, but.
I don't, wait, why? That's a question? Oh dear.
In case wolves attack.
The middle of a train station.
I don't know how things go over there, Nick. So.
All right. That was a fun time, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We're not a good time. We're all
real good time.
Bright and chipper and happy. Everyone ready?
I feel like this is a lead up. Yeah.
Chapter 24, Uzumaki Kawaki, featuring a color page cover of Uzumaki Kawaki. Look at him. He's got a cloak that's gonna drag on the ground. It's gonna get dirty unless he hacks it up. That's a jacket, it's not a cape. You can't have it back that goes that far down. And his pants are too long, Quinn. They don't fit him.
They're too long. He's got these Jinko pants. I don't know, he's just like a big rod, which is like, I don't know.
Hey, remember how there was a whole thing where Boruto was in danger, but then Kawaki showed up to help him? Well, it turns out there was a conversation the two of them had ahead of time where they said they were going to fight Jura together. Why? Because because he's an Otsutsuki and stuff. And how does that? What's the plan though? Well, Boruto can use the chakra infused items to teleport around and stuff like that. And so Boruto gives Kawaki one and says, "We can't beat Jura right now, so we gotta be able to survive him when he comes after us. The best way to do that is if we flee together using my flying Raijin. But to teleport long distances, I need to be able to sense the chakra in that. And that's going to be impossible if I'm fighting Jura on my own." And so Kawaki's like, so you want me to buy you time for us to run away. And that is what they're doing. So in the present, speed lines! Woo! Kawaki is fighting Jura. Pa-choo-pa! Pa-pa-pa! Hoo-pa! Pa-pa-pa!
This is some real, like, flap, bang, thwap nonsense. Or it's just like, Ikemoto, do you not know how to do any action scene that is not just covered in speed lines? I know the answer is obviously yes. We've seen this, like, this cannot be stylistic. This is an abhorrent design choice to, like, attach to your series. But, like, seriously, it's been, like, fucking 7 years. Hey, like, a background, please.
Jura attacks Kawaki with his middle finger claw, which is, he's got a middle finger, but he's got like a code strap, like finger cover that he's attacking with. I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's a good idea to use. It's not his actual finger. It's just like a cover he puts over it. That's gonna just hurt your finger when you hit some. Oh, never mind. Kawaki uses his Shrinky Dink powers to summon some giant cubes. Then he gets him with his big arm thing. He blocks the finger claw, and Jura goes, "Ow, my finger! I stubbed it."
Owie, ow.
Maybe attacking with a single finger was a bad idea. Fight. Kawaki butts Jura in the stomach with his staff, and then goes wee blam, which is him, I believe, channeling his stuff, his destructive energy through it. I think. I don't know. So then he whaps him with the staff some more, and then goes to claw Jura and knocks him away. And Boruto is meanwhile his thing is reacting too because Kawaki is near, so he's got to stop that. Kawaki, who again is desperately trying to buy time against Jura so that they can flee, approaches him all cool and very slowly because he's like, "Oh, I've got the advantage." Yeah, the way a smart guy goes.
Yep. This is a very intelligent way Kawaki is handling things. I appreciate that about him.
Sumire and Amato are watching from their monitoring room or with their cameras that they have. I don't know. Freaking Boruto technology is so weird. And Sumire thinks like maybe he can beat Jura. And Amato is immediately like, no. And Jura, still whopped up against the wall that he's been hit into, takes out one of the books he was reading. He just casually starts flipping through it. And he says, Kawaki, you're displaying incomparably greater combat ability than before. How did you get so much stronger? In fact, it's not just you, it's also Uzumaki Himawari. She transformed before me and seemed to show someone else's powers. It's as if Yamanaka Inojin's getting so many mentions in this series. I never would have expected that to happen.
There was a lot being with like the death of Inojin really changed a lot, and I was like, I guess
he's not dead. He's not dead. Jura just thinks he's dead. Again, this character, at least Yondo's dead. Like, as far as we know. So Jura starts to go, she too unexpectedly got powerful, as did Uchiha Sarada. Yodo, that was her name. I completely forgot her name.
You said Yondo, and I was like, it's close enough. Who gives a shit?
And Jura says, every one of these is an unusual situation that would be unthinkable under normal circumstances, and it is my opinion that what all these concerning incidents seem to have in common is the topic I'm passionately currently researching, the thing called love. It is curious, a fatal
love.
weakness that you humans possess, but on the other hand, could it also be a factor that enables extraordinary evolution? What do you think, Kawaki? I'd love to hear your honest opinion. And Kawaki just, honestly, and the thing that is the closest to approaching a good moment just stretches his hand and says, "You talk a lot for a pest," and giant wave of energy to vaporize Jura. Of course he's fine. Of course that did nothing. Smoke clears, and he's got all sorts of root tentacles coming out of the ground that basically put him back together. It's something that seems like it should look cooler than it does.
Yes.
Because he's like having the tentacles almost like they're an assembly line putting him together, but he's also like taking parts out of them because they're at the tree that the Otsutsuki tree folk come from. And so it like a root goes into his eye socket, and then when it comes out, he's got an eye there because he absorbed part of it. And then the roots form a freaking throne for him to fairly pose upon. And he says, "I never expected you to come to Boruto's rescue. For as far as I know, there is only one thing in this world that you want to protect, and that is supposed to be Uzumaki Naruto."
We're going to talk about Jura at the end of this chapter, Nick.
So, Kawaki says nothing, just stares at him, and Kawaki and Jura keeps on talking and says, "I went to Konoha seeking him and was shocked to learn he had passed away, but now, looking into your sincere eyes, I'm convinced. Uzumaki Naruto, he's alive, isn't he? Oh, these spikes are very sharp. Why are you guys people against my nose like this?"
Why does it look like he's just smelling his finger over and over again? I love the smell of my leather finger.
And Kawaki, again, says nothing. He just glares. And Jura says, "You're so easy to read." It's like he's not reacting in a way that the audience can pick up on. He has had the same expression every time we've cut to him while Jura's been talking, which is just... That's all you see of him. He doesn't go, or, he just...
There's like a moment where he's supposed to be like, "I found out information about you." But he's like, "Naruto is alive, isn't he?" And Sumire reacts. We see a little exclamation point by her. She's like, "This is news to me." But she's not there. She's seeing this shit from far away or something like that. Kawaki is just right there, and he's like... And the sound effect by him is just, ooh, which is the sound effect that goes across this entire fucking page. So
Jura keeps on smelling his finger and says, "You're so easy to read. I am not good at lying either, but I know this will likely get under your skin, but I want to consume Uzumaki Naruto. I heard that he shared a deep bond with many of the Biju, and perhaps love had something to do with that as well. I can't help thinking that. I'm hoping I might learn more about love if I devour him." And now Kawaki finally reacts and he goes, "Damn you! Ah! How dare you want to learn about love? And also eat my father figure."
that'd be great. That's what annoys him. He's like, "How dare you try to discover the power of love? I mean, threaten my dad."
Boruto shows up next to Kawaki, who instantly stops trying to attack, and Boruto says, "We're good to go now. I've got a lock on the symbol." And Jura's like, I see. You are going to teleport away with your flying Raijin. I loathe us parting, but so be it. I suppose we're done for today. You could attack them. You could attack them right now. You have a sniper in your eye. You can shoot them from miles away. Just snipe them right now while they're 2 feet in front of you before they have a chance to teleport away. Just shoot them.
I think it takes a second to do that, and they can instantly teleport away. But I do agree that that the situation has zero tension in it.
Stop fighting.
Yeah, Kawaki does not seem stressed. No one seems concerned about whether or not they're going to make the time limit of this, arbitrary, Jura kills us all. Everyone's just kind of chilling, like, well, Your teleport's off of cooldown, so I guess we're done. Goodbye.
There's no like dramatically announcing how much more time Boruto needs before something's ready. He doesn't announce like, percentages. He doesn't say like, I need 3 more minutes. I need 2 more minutes. As the fight's getting more and more tense. He's just like, buy me some time. And then Kawaki handily holds off Jura. And they just are like, all right, I'm ready to go. Not, let's go right now. Grab him. Boom. They stand there and talk to him for so many more pages. Ugh. So Boruto says, like, let's go, Kawaki, and reaches out for him. And Kawaki's like, no, hold on. I've got to say my badass thing. And he says to Jura, listen up. I don't really give a crap about love, but I will give you credit for your instincts and intuition in setting your eyes on Lord Seventh. What 15-year-old talks like this? Don't misunderstand. You will die by my hand. I swear on it. And Jura says, I appreciate you being frank with me. Kawaki, I'm glad we got to talk. Let us meet again. And Kawaki flips off Jura in the way that makes you think that Ikimoto has never seen anyone flip someone off before. Look at the way he's holding his hand. This is the least emphatic middle finger I've ever seen. Because he's just kind of like, he's doing this. It's so lazy. That is not the gesture of someone who hates the man that they're flipping off. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Anyway, Konohamaru had the freaking metal charm thing. And Delta brought it to them, and then Konohamaru's like, wait a minute, that's one of Boruto's chakra things. And Delta's like, yeah, I guess it makes it harder to sense the chakra if someone's holding it, so I was instructed to just drop it around here. That kind of makes sense because, like, the chakra could be interfered with by someone holding it, but because of their own chakra, sure.
Mm.
And Delta warns everyone, you might want to take a step back. It will be pretty pitiful if you got stomped on or something. And then Kawaki and Boruto teleport in, and Kawaki stomps on Konohamaru because he is a joke. He's the most worthless character in this series, in this franchise. He just exists to be stupid.
It is very odd that this seems to be his role in life. Like he didn't get to look cool in his fight against whatever her name was, and then he just gets stomped on. Like he's just like a gag character in this series, I guess.
Yeah, so that happens. He's upset about it, and then he reveals he's still got the thorn bulb thing, and Boruto says, good, then we'll head straight to Konoha. Cut over, Ada is talking with Kashin Koji, and she's like, hey, so things good now, right? And Kashin Koji says, no, this should not be praised. It was way too dangerous a wager that could have destroyed even the good futures. The fact that Boruto survived itself is a good thing, but thanks to his actions, the future has shifted again. And Ada's like, all right, but that's how life is, right? You just change the future by living the present, right? Who cares? And Kashin Koji's like, no. You see, Mamushi is on the move, and his target is you. And he's like, ew, gross.
An appropriate response.
It's like, he was already going to target you anyway. We knew this. Whatever. Jura comes back into Tree People Town, and the Sasuke one, he says, what's with your facial expression? Are you feeling unwell? Hidari, his name is Hidari. And Jura says, the opposite, Hidari. Listen to this. Kawaki actually paid me a compliment. And Hidari says, I just learned a modern phrase because I've been reading books like you. Totally ick.
Okay, so we gotta talk a little bit about these guys, Nick. we gotta discuss.
Kimoto is 50.
Look, as evidenced earlier, I am also aware I'm not a spring chicken. There's a lot that's interesting about this chapter. what I think we need to talk about first.
Okay.
Do you like Jura? Because this guy has become so campy and gay in a way I've maybe never seen before.
It seemed to come out of nowhere, honestly.
He has always been a little odd. Like, that's always been a character trait ever since he, like, walked into that bookstore the first time. Like, he's just a weird dude. But he's so weird now. He's so strange. I don't get why he's, like, doing, like, an enchanting, like, come hang out with me up at my throne while I have an important conversation to you. By the way, my finger's in a fucking weird leather thing, and I'm just gonna be sitting here looking like I'm smelling it with my legs out. I don't quite get it. And then at the end, there is this like kind of funny exchange between two aliens. I don't know what the fuck to call them at this point, but like I do like the idea that they're just like having this conversation, and like Jura showed up and he's like, "Hey, listen to this. Kawaki actually paid me a compliment," and his friend's like, I mean, I know we're not supposed to know a ton about society, but even I'm like, that's kind of weird, dude. Like, I think that is a very funny thing. I don't know. I totally ick.
I'm learning why you're cringe, Jura.
Yeah. But can I also just fucking note this? I am so fucking tired of Sasuke or of Boruto and Kawaki hanging out on the fucking ninja heads. They keep doing it over and over again to be like, oh, is this where the scene takes place? You're like, no, they just hang out here sometimes. They just hang out on Hokage Mountain.
Yeah, I really, really thought this chapter was garbage because it just strikes me as lazy. The whole core of it is Jura waxing philosophical about this thing that he doesn't understand, which is love. But all the observations he makes are just the most basic things you could expect, even for a character who canonically knows nothing about it. It's like, you grew stronger, and I think it is both a weakness and a strength. It's like, it's not even put poetically. He's just saying basic things. This is like if Kishimoto wrote out this thing like, oh, and so he says this thing about how love is a weakness and a strength based on his observations. Then he's like, oh, yeah, I'll like edit that out. You know, I'll punch it up a bit later. And then he just puts in the first draft. He's like, no, it's fine. It's fine. It doesn't matter. None of this matters. Who gives a shit? So I hated it because it was so lazy. Like, I can't even enjoy how campy he is because all the stuff he's talking about is just so stupid and basic. I don't need Temu Mr. Sinister. We got the actual Mr. Sinister in comics.
Yeah. And I'm already kind of tired of that one.
There you go. It gets old eventually. So if you're not even gonna try and start off on a strong note, who cares?
Yeah. All right, Mick.
It's Chainsaw Man, Chapter 209, Terrifying Weapon. So Yoru took
I was right.
Through the head, through the forehead, straight out the other side. That's her blood and brain matter dripping from that corkscrew tip of the spear. Other weapons rained down as well from the falling devil. Got through Denji's head. He'll be fine. Went into the neck of the guy whose home that they broke into. He's probably screwed. Admittedly, he's got the least dire injury of the three of them.
Yes. Now,
but in this crap shit show world, he's probably just dead before we learned a single thing about him.
Well, considering how the rest of the chapter goes, I do think something might be happening.
Yeah. Also, more swords hit them after this point, and all of them get another one. Now there's a sword sticking through the guy's stomach, so I'm pretty sure he's dead. So Denji is really screwed up. Yoru is even more screwed up. The falling devil goes into the building, and she's like, oh, I kind of thought that I held back. Huh. Was the war devil always this weak? I heard she was more frightening long ago. And then Yoru twitches a little bit, goes still, and then vanishes right before the falling devil's eyes. And before she can do anything, suddenly Yoru is descending on her, stabbing her with the same spear that went through her head straight through the falling devil's stomach. And the falling devil casts out one of their various arms, launches Yoru into the wall, and goes, "Oh my, didn't she just die?" I did see that, right? She died? Like, what the hell?
Oh, I thought,
Yoru immediately comes out, just as quickly as before, dual-wielding swords, chops the falling devil to pieces, sends body parts flying everywhere. The falling devil counters with some sort of, like, tendril thing, like an insect pincher or something, and Yoru just catches it barehanded and crushes it. And her tears hit the floor. And she's crying. And she says, "I forgot. Why did I forget? No. Why did I remember?" And she continues to beat the shit out of the falling devil. She starts to move so hard that her arm, like, cracks. And then she just punches the falling devil's body to smithereens, just completely pulverizes her with a punch. Not going bang, just punches her. And her body explodes into guts and legs. And the legs collapse, and Yoru stumbles around the apartment. Denji is still down for the count, but the TV is still on from when the guy was watching it before. Breaking news is being broadcast, as the newscaster says, "In the ongoing war between the Soviet Union and the USA, America has reportedly dropped a new weapon on several Soviet cities. We have yet to learn the extent of the damage to the cities. However, according to information released by the American military, the weapon is extremely lethal and was planned to be used on devils. I have an update. According to this new information, the weapon that was dropped on the Soviets is an extremely powerful, bomb-like weapon, mainly using uranium or plutonium, what's called atomic energy. The American military used this weapon for the first time as a last track to ending the war. We have the weapon's name now," and Yoru says it before the newscaster does. "Nuclear weapons," as there is an image of a mushroom cloud appearing behind her as she realizes what has just come back for her.
that seems bad, right?
Yeah. Way back when we first learned about Chainsaw Man's power from Makima's explanation of what happens when he devours other devils and it erases everything they're associated with, one of the examples that she cited of something that had been erased, along with the Nazis, good on you there, was nukes. So we've seen Denji cough up some stuff since then, but it wasn't one of the ones that we saw him cough up, because all those were accounted for. And Yoru specifically was trying to figure out why she remembered this now. So she seems to be confused by this. So we don't really have an explanation as to why this happened just now, but it's a big game changer, obviously, because, hey, with the fear of nuclear weapons, a lot of people are way more scared of war with that as a possibility. Because, of course, any conflict can immediately result in everyone dying, so that increases everyone's fear of it. I thought that this was a very intriguing chapter, and it got me more interested in Chainsaw Man than I have been in a little bit of time. Just wondering, like, what happened? What the hell? What's going on?
It's
and also Yoru kicked ass.
Yes, it is a very good, like, conclusion of, like, wait, what does this mean for the world that we live in? Like, does this mean it's been reinvented, or did Denji cough it up? I don't quite understand, like, what this necessarily implies, but I mean, the fact that the war devil has access to nuclear weapons again is very terrifying. So yeah, super pumped to see how that goes. In the meantime, Nick, we're going to talk about Dandadan. This is chapter 203, The Mysterious Man. So Seiko is facing an opponent who we don't have a name for as of this current moment, so we're going to call him Weird Ass Pervert, or Whole Ass Pervert, I believe is his name.
Whole Ass Pervert, yes.
Yeah. So, Whole Ass Pervert just starts whooping the shit out of Seiko. He is very fast and attacks very, very powerfully. Like all of his attacks, like he kicks once and it like splits the floor in parts. So he's very, very strong.
The first attack that he launches is one of those typical Dandadan panels where like you see the result of the attack like well after it's happened. So he's in the follow through motion and Seiko's over there through the pole.
Yeah, she's gotten smashed against a pillar and she's like falling and he's just like posed in a big punch. So very, very cool. But while it's happening, there's a bunch of mist going around, or smoke, I should say. And then he'll appear and he'll attack. And Seiko does notice that whole last pervert's attacks are very strong, but he's aiming for her vitals. And moves like that can be rather easy to read. So she seems like she is going to deliver a decisive blow to him. He turns to smoke and disappears. And then when he reappears, he gets a counterattack on her. And basically from there it is over. He just starts beating her at this point. He launches her through a pillar. When she's like down, he'll eventually like he steps on her like torso and just kind of stands there.
Right in the ribs, yeah.
But Seiko does note, she's like, "Oh, so you're an Enra, the smoke Hokai or Yokai." An Enra. I'm trying to mentally claim that because whole ass pervert was just a lot easier, to be honest. And Enra doesn't really say anything in response, but does continue the "please accept your defeat" mantra as he steps on her presumably super broken ribs now at this point. Seiko is like, "Hey, stop trying to act like you're being honorable by doing this. And your ability's kind of cheap, by the way." She tries to kick him in the dick, but he turns to smoke and is unaffected by it.
He gets sent toppling head over heels like 3 times in this chapter.
Honestly, yeah.
She's ragdolled so much.
She is absolutely. She's a Grand Theft Auto character. She just gets like fucking flung from side to side. We cut over to Momo, who's like, "Hey, what was that sound just now?" We could see Vimola did, I guess, have her backpack with her, so that's good. She saved.
Yeah, but in her kaiju.
But she's very tiny on her head, and Vimola's like, "Oh, there's a fairy on my head." So adorable. So much. Precious character. But Momo is just very worried about Seiko, and she should be, because we see Seiko afterwards, and this is as about as gory as I think Chainsaw Man is willing to get, but Seiko is just covered in blood. Her entire face and neck at this point is just blood. And Enra appears, steps on her chest again, is continuing to just, impact those ribs using, honestly, pretty good ring psychology. This is, for him, a submission-only match. He doesn't want any kind of other conclusion. So he's making sure to really work her broken ribs. But he also stops to wax philosophic.
Passes the blood capsule so that it's extra convincing.
Yeah. Yeah, she's bladed. Oh, Seiko blades. Starts waxing philosophic about different things, like, from a biological standpoint, it is contradictory to not fear death. As soon as you are alive, as soon as you have a physical body, you cannot escape the act of living. And he just says, "I wish for you to see you beg for mercy, to see you accept defeat, and admit to everything." And before we can see any conclusion to that, there's a giant kind of bang. And the walls to this temple are like smashed open as someone comes in dragging one of the ninja they just defeated. And it's the Evil Eye, Nick, who sits there and says, "How freaking long are you going to make me wait?"
I think that this is a fantastic chapter. Just the sheer violence being inflicted here is ridiculous. And I also have to say, something occurred to me while I was doing it, which was like, oh man, I really hope we don't get like any shots of like Seiko like looking sexy while she's getting the shit beaten out of her. That's gonna be so uncomfortable for a character that has as much cleavage showing and as short a skirt as she's wearing, flying around. There are no gratuitous fan service shots of her. She's just getting destroyed violently, and that's just nice to see that. It doesn't take away from the scene that she, is modeled the way that she is, because she is in dire straits, and you feel that with the way that she is drawn in this sequence. violence. And when her chest gets stepped on, it's like, oh no, it's not like, oh no, her boobs are being squished. It's like, no, her ribs are being crushed. She's in horrible amounts of pain. You can do it both ways, all right? Is what I'm saying. You don't have to undercut every single scene because you're horny. Like, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, this is a brutal chapter. Seiko is absolutely getting kind of pummeled here, and I mean, just the constant rib torture. Like the fact that this dude like does it once and then later on it's like, I'm gonna stand on your ribs again. It's like, dude, chill out.
And like getting like the points of the knees in there. Ugh.
Yeah. So I really like this chapter a lot. I liked a lot of the comments in our Discord that like Gigi's coming and he's like, my iPad stopped working. What's going on? Like all the stuff they used to distract him. He's like, I'm out of gummy fruits. Why are we still here?
I figured out how you stole my nose. Now give it back.
Good stuff. I'm excited to see Gigi whoop this guy.
Absolutely. Yeah, I really like Gigi coming at the end as well. It's like, all right, he did show up. They left him in the car. It's not like he can't come back. But Quinn, I guess it's finally time for the final chapter of Kaiju number 8. Feels so sudden, doesn't it? But we just start off with Kafka waking up after, he was injured. He needed a nap. So he wakes up in the hospital after the huge battle is all over, after his humanity is brought back by Director General Shinomiya. And 4 months have passed in the time that he has been out. So we get a recap via narration of like, hey, here's the figures that were happening in that huge battle that involved everyone. There were 1,316 kaiju that emerged during it, 18 Daikaiju, 7 identified kaiju, including 1 special case, and 56.4 trillion yen in damages were accrued, which is like $500 billion. A lot. The devastation was felt throughout Japan, many casualties on and off the battlefield, but the scale of damage was said to be miraculously small. Even so, the Kaiju number 9 cataclysm was the greatest in the Defense Force's history. And as for Kaiju number 8, citizens only continue to grow more concerned as there are still several speculations flying around regarding their true identity. After they were spotted fighting alongside the Defense Force, theories emerged on social media about a new bioweapon within the division, a kaiju with a human mind, or a space alien! It's always aliens.
Always.
Aliens. So the public still doesn't know about Kafka, in short, or about exactly what Kaiju number 8 is. That's still a secret of the Defense Force. And they're still not saying anything about him. Kafka says, I'm not entirely sure how I managed to revert to human form. I know, it's okay. It's okay. It was the Deus Ex Machina, it's fine.
Yeah.
But he can even feel a human heart in his chest where a kaiju core should be. And there's one more strange thing. As within himself, he can still sense the dormant spirit of Kaiju number 8, which is drawn in a much cutesier way than we've seen it before. That, entity of resentment and a giant mouth that wants to eat everything. It's just kind of curled up like a kitty right now and taking a nap. But it's still there.
Looking pretty good.
So Kafka thinks that maybe that means that the Director General kind of like is holding things in check, or maybe it means that the past spirits that make up Kaiju number 8 are just going to help out in this new era. Kafka's all suited up, back in his uniform. Mina comes to greet him. She starts to say something, and then doesn't, because why would you want to pay off? Why would you want to pay off now in the final chapter? No. So Mina says she's got a car waiting. They're going to go. The Defense Force base is being reconstructed. Yep. They've gotten to make a bunch of improvements and all sorts of stuff. Kafka reflects nostalgically about his first confrontation with Kikoru when they're standing in the parking lot. And also is like, man, the grounds are just the same as ever. everyone was so fast that day we were running, but Iharu and Haruichi and Aoi were so fast it felt like they were cheating. And now we've got this huge new hall, and I remember the induction ceremony where I had to do push-ups. Look at all these scenes that we remember so fondly early on in the series, guys. Also, we took a bath together. Yep, that did happen. Yep. And Otonogi says, like, yeah, the training grounds are bigger. And Kafka says, oh, that means if we have to run punishment laps, then they're going to get even tougher because the training grounds are bigger. Yep. He goes outside to the main gate and remembers when he was wished off by everyone in the 3rd Division when he was taken in because he was discovered as Kaiju number 8. And he recalls Reno saying that he had faith that he would come back. And he remembers all the other promises that he made, like with Mina, and how all the things that he did to struggle through and prove himself to be truly a human. And he says, now I've finally come back home. Oh, yeah, that's right. He didn't actually get to come back to the 3rd Division until this very moment from that time that he got taken away. And as he turns around, the entire 3rd Division is there to greet him. They're all in uniform. They're all happy to see him. Well, Kikaru's like neutral, so that's like that might as well be like she's grinning ear to ear, that she's just not scowling at anyone.
Yeah.
Reno says that he's glad to have them back, and that they had faith that he would return to them. Kafka gets emotional, but then he falls to his knees, gives himself a couple of smacks in the head, stands back up and says, yeah, glad to be back, but he's got tears running down his face. Iharu runs in and shoulder tackles Kafka, which is the way men show affection to each other in this series, basically. So that's nice. Then, unprompted, they say, man, Iharu would make a good spearhead to the captain for the 3rd Division with that kind of attitude, huh? Okay.
All right.
Say so. All right. Everyone again exchanges quips and stuff like that. Everyone's all happy and everything like that. And now, let's touch a bit on what happens to everyone afterward. Ichikawa, Iharu, Haruichi, Aoi. By the next year, they'd be assigned to lead troops as platoon commanders. What about all the female members of the team? Iharu, Haruichi, and Aoi got to be platoon commanders.
Thank God Haruichi did. I always remember Haruichi. Is that the one with the bow?
Yes.
Okay. So. Wow, there we go. Haruichi, bow guy. Classic.
Yeah. Analysts at headquarters say the 3rd Division has become comparable to the 1st Division in terms of combat ability and has entered its golden age. Well, it's a good thing we got to see all of them get stronger then, isn't it? All of them. All of them that were just named in this page. It's a good thing we got to follow them on their journeys as they got stronger.
Mm.
But because the 3rd Division is so popular, and because there are all sorts of applicants applying to the 3rd Division, it exceeds expectations, because everyone's like, oh, I mean, like with the Cataclysm gone, people were like, oh, there's no way everyone's going to want to sign for the Defense Force. No. Applicants to the force quadrupled compared to the last year, which means Mina and Vice Captain Hoshina are the busiest they've ever been. Anyway, that's the last time we ever see Mina in this chapter.
It's okay. There's only like 10 pages left.
It's okay. It's fine. It's fine. So, Kikaru got a promotion. She's the vice captain of the 1st Division. That makes sense. She had a whole thing where she bonded with Narumi and proved herself to be a good second to him. That's fine. We see her visiting her parents' grave very briefly and see that the now former vice captain to Narumi, Vice Captain Hasegawa, was bumped up to HQ staff officer, which also makes sense. Put him in ops because, he's not like a super strong guy. Sure. Narumi is like really pissed off about this for a bit until Kikura is like, hey, the captain of the 1st Division has to be the strongest, so who in the world would be your replacement, Captain Narumi? And Narumi's like, you're absolutely right. And just, strokes his ego. And Kikura is like, yeah, it's okay, I got this. I know how to manipulate this guy now. And Hasegawa's like, good job. You'll be fulfilled by it. Yeah, sure. 7 identified Kaiju were neutralized, of course. Tissue of 6 of them, excluding the already weaponized number 10, are currently in storage. One of them, Number 12 has shown aptitude for Captain Soichiro of the Western Division. Well, it's a good thing he got something. That character we spent so much time with, Hoshina's older brother.
Oh, is that who that was?
That's Hoshina's older brother. So the one that Hoshina beat, the Blade one, yeah. So his older brother gets that one because he earned it.
Okay, cool. I really
Cool.
like. I was like, that must be someone whose name I've forgotten, and I just kind of stopped.
I had to look him up.
All right, good to know.
Since all the identified kaiju are very, very dangerous, they're gonna be converted to weapons or scrapped. And the body of number 9 is under number 6 level cold storage under the strictest lockdown in the deepest depths of the Ariake base. And then there's Kafka Hibino, who we see just out, doing some shopping in a market when suddenly a huge quake starts resounding. It's a kaiju attack. And so Kafka takes out his badge, says, "I'm with the defense force. Everyone remain calm, follow evacuation instructions." When the monster emerges and starts knocking over some buildings in the distance, he gets on the radio and says, like, okay, there's a kaiju emergence here. Hoshina is on the other line, says, like, okay, we've got its signal. We're dispatching the division. Guide citizens to safety. Research facilities around the world want to know the identity of number 8. And if it gets out, you'll be in danger. So don't do anything stupid. And Kafka's like, I understand. I will do my job responsibly. And he continues to help evacuate people. But then he spots in the distance that the kaiju is attacking a couple of kids. A couple of very little Kafka and little Mina looking kids. And they can't run away. Little Kafka looking kid starts to panic, but little Mina looking kid says, I'm going to join the defense force and there's no time to be afraid of a guy like this. And she's crying, but she's grimacing and all determined. And little Kafka looking guy is encouraged as well, picks up some rocks to fight this thing, and it's like, since we can't run away from this thing, then we'll fight it. And they are going to get gobbled up by this thing, despite the fact they're all being defiant. And then, big explosion as a shadowy figure jumps in, and Kafka saves the kids from being eaten by the kaiju guys. And we get further narration that says, Kafka Hibino, officially assigned to the 3rd Division as a result of gaining trust during the Cataclysm on the newly established on-site kaiju analysis squad. I serve as platoon leader, and occasionally, and he turns into kaiju number 8 while whispering to the kids, make sure you keep this a secret. And we get a 2-page color spread of Kafka one last time as kaiju number 8 to take on this kaiju.
Yep. How did you like this ending, Nick?
It's so nothing. It's so basic. It's just nothing. I just don't care about anything that they actually establish. There's like a tiny little crumb of like, oh, a thing that was alluded to has been paid off, which is the whole Kikoru thing. Everything else is just like, all right, cool. The guys get to be captains of whatever. I don't care about any of them. I don't care about, like, Kikoru is like the only one you can really say really gets anything. It's like, all right, she manages to like lay the past to rest. She wishes her parents off, and she continues to step forward and make strides the way that she said she was going to. There's the thing of like, all right, we get to have Kafka reunite with everyone, but it feels like it's rushed, and it's like it doesn't really feel like it has an emotional payoff. And then everything else, it's just like, what's Reno doing? It's like, oh, he got promoted. All right, but like,
we spent time with him. Like, he's in the same.
There's like, it doesn't feel like there's anything that like is important to him that gets paid off on. To say nothing of Hoshina, of Mina, like anyone that like got a lot of focus that felt like they had a character where they could have gone places. It's like, what happens to them? It's like, they're busy. It doesn't feel like it's resolved. It doesn't feel like the end of a book. It feels like, I don't know, I'm done. I ran out of ideas.
Yeah. I agree. I think Reno really kind of got a disappointing end to all this. He slammed into the same like situation that 3 other far less significant characters were shoved into, and I was like, oh, that's kind of a bummer. Like, he doesn't even get to be front and center on the panel where they talk about like the new golden generation of platoon commanders. It's fucking Iharu, and I'm like, look, I like Iharu, I would have loved to see him get to do something in this series after like that first early on scene. But like, I don't know, it's a little strange, all that stuff. I did genuinely find the emotion pretty good. Like that moment when I was like, oh shit, yeah, I guess Kafka never actually got back to Division 3 after like the Kaiju number 10 attack. Like
Yep.
that moment's, kind of cool. I almost just wish you ended the series like on something like that. But I also get the idea the series isn't done. Like Kaiju number 8's done. But like there's a part of me it's like, is this just gonna go into like a different kind of spin-off? Because that's the only thing I can think of for why we didn't get a closure to the Mina and Kafka stuff at all. If they're like, wow, we can keep that going.
If it's done, it's like, why wouldn't they say anything that's like,
Yeah.
I'm not saying, because we a little bit of advertisement for the bonus episode that we recorded this month. We did a little discussion on tier list ranking modern manga couples from series that we have read, and Kafka and Mina was one that we kind of discussed in terms of its potential as a ship. And I'm not saying that anything specific has to happen between them, but a big part of the emotional core of the story and why we related to Kafka as a character was that he made a promise to this very good friend of his from childhood that he had constantly failed to live up to because he wasn't strong enough and capable enough to make the defense force. And now he finally had a means of doing that, but he had to lie to her about the way that he was able to actually do it. And even then, he wasn't good enough to actually stand beside her the way that he had promised to. And we have this moment where they've had this opportunity where they stood together in battle and they fulfilled their dream together. And in the aftermath, they say nothing to each other. Cool. It's a shonen manga. I feel like I should be allowed to feel overly invested in things and
Yeah, I wish I had more to say on the end of this series, but as we're running low on time, I don't want to like drag this out too much longer. It's fine. I think I'm a little bit more positive on it than you are, but I'm not like super high on it. It's not going to be my chapter of the week or anything. It's okay. It's a conclusion to Kaiju number 8, which honestly, I'm more grateful is just over now at this point than anything else. I'm like, cool. I don't have to talk about it or think about it anymore, really.
damn shame. Spy Family, Mission 120. Hey, Yor and Lloyd had their date last chapter, but wouldn't you know it, her coworkers saw her when she snuck away to talk with Hemlock, but it was just to give her the salve, and now they think that she's cheating on Lloyd with the mystery man. So Yor, distressed, looks over at Mr. McMahon, who also works at the government office as part of his cover, and he's like, oh gosh, I guess I'll go take care of this. Calls up Hemlock and brings him in undercover as Mr. Jones! And says like, oh yes, he is transferred to our office. And Hemlock's like, you didn't discuss this with me at all before, what the hell? So it's like, oh, it's just a co-worker. You just was handling over a product sample from a client. They're like, all right, yeah, sorry for suspecting you. And Hemlock's like, why are you doing this with me? What about my solitude powers? I can't deal with this. The single woman amongst them is like, you're so pretty, let me have your number. And Hemlock says, I have no telephone in my home. Good for you, I guess. So that kind of covers that. However, McMahon warns you, as everyone's distracted, not everyone is cut out to act in certain roles. We cut over to Lloyd, who is also distracted thinking about the conversation they have with Yor while they are on their date together, while he's in conversation with the handler. And so when he thinks about everything, he's like, I'm not pursuing our marriage for Anya's sake, and I'm wondering if she, suspects that. Like, I'm doing this for a mission, if there's something like that. But what if she has caught on? What is going to happen if, like, she's got some complaints about the way things are going? And he's thinking about this in headquarters, so Fiona comes along and says, like, again, Operation Strix with me in the wife role. I'm on for this. And Lloyd, who isn't sure about it, Yor at this point, says, that might actually be a good idea at this point to just have that ready. And Fiona says, yes, indeed. Wait! And it's finally happening. It's finally happening. And she starts to freak out a bit. Lloyd says that, like, hey, everything's fine when the handler expresses concerns about him and says, like, hey, you've got to pull yourself together. If Strix fails, we're going to lose our chance at Desmond. So you can't let that happen. If there's anything going on that could jeopardize the mission, you've got to take care of it. Find a way to keep your Briar in her current position. And Lloyd's like, yeah, okay. He feels like he was naive to think that the date yesterday would have taken care of everything. So he decides he needs to figure out more about who Yor is. We cut to the academy where Damien and Anya are engaged in yet another argument over stuff. Damien says, I saw you looking at me and smirking during language studies, you uggo. And Anya calls him, you're a misunderstando and a stuck-uppo. And it's great. Becky is thinking like, I wonder how many times this is going to happen at this point. Damien goes off with his friends, and Becky says, Anya, you need to start being honest with yourself about him. And Anya's like, I'm always an honest and good girl. I don't know about always. She lies about some things in order to, get snacks and stuff. But
You don't
Becky's
think
like, no.
You don't think honest girls can sometimes lie, Nick?
So, I feel like my head will explode if I actually try and answer that question. So Becky says, you're not being honest with yourself even about how you feel. Put your hand on your heart and really think about it. So Anya puts her hand on her heart, thinks about Damien and all the ways that he mocks her and gets mad at her. Yeah, he's a jerk. So that's settled. Anya gets home. Lloyd's not home yet, though. So it's just her and Bond and Yor in the house. So Anya starts doing her homework. Yor's sitting there to help her out because she's a great mom. And Anya says, like, 1830s of his ammunition, because that's the way that she, does schoolwork, is by relating it to spy stuff. And Yor's like, you could reduce that fraction to 3/5. And so Anya's like, that's a smart thing you said. And Yor immediately is very, very, very humble about it. Oh, no, I just picked it up from Lloyd teaching you stuff. Lloyd can do, like, absolutely anything. He's so smart. He's incredible. I wonder if he's always been like that. And Anya goes, I don't know. So Yor is again like, what were things like before you came here? And Anya has to cover for it, but she just says, like, it was a long time ago. I don't remember. Oh, always honest, aren't you, Anya? But Anya picks up on something and says, are you interested in Papa? And Yor's like, oh, I mean, no, our relationship is just, it's just a paper marriage. No, it wouldn't be appropriate for us to pry into each other's lives like that. And Anya, who has learned something today, says, you need to start being honest. Put your hand on your heart and think hard about it. And then you can be a good girl too. Like me, the goodest girl. So Yor looks at Anya, who's, demonstrating, like, put your hand on your heart. She puts her hand on her heart. She thinks of Lloyd. And when she thinks of Lloyd, he's all surrounded by sparkles and smiling. And her heart beeps. And Yor says, maybe you're right. I guess that I might actually be in love with Lloyd. And we get this very cute and lovely 2-page spread of Yor looking at Anya, who is kind of mystified by this, but Yor looks like not only like emotional, but like very assured and sincere too. I don't think she's ever really been drawn this way before. Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of beauty in this moment.
Anya immediately was like, do you like him more than Omu Rice?
You're like, oh, right, she's 5. She doesn't understand the significance of this moment.
Yeah, so Yor says, well, I mean, it's like a different kind of love. And Anya says, I love Papa too, slightly more than Omu Rice. And Yor has to explain, like, I think that kind of love is a bit different from the type of love I'm talking about. But of course she's worried because she's like, this is just a contract for Lloyd. And I can't really live a normal life. And she says to Anya, unlike you, I'm not a good girl. So I want you to keep this a secret from Lloyd. You have to promise, okay? And Anya nods and says, I promise. And Lloyd comes home at that moment, and Yor narrates, maybe I'm being selfish. Maybe I'm not cut out for this. But even so, I want to keep protecting this place. Well, a big thing happened, didn't it?
I never thought it would happen.
Yor actually said out loud that she might be in love with Lloyd. And hey, I like that we are doing this big step forward while still remaining true to the heart of the series, which is a family that keeps secrets from each other. But it's just that now Yor and Anya have a secret of their own, and which is a bit different from secrets that you keep from everyone. It's a secret you share with one other person. So we're gonna see how this changes things going forward. But this feels really big, and I really, really love the way that it was done.
Yeah, I had such a strong reaction when this chapter came out because I was like, it's finally happened. I've been waiting for like an element of progress to happen in this series for a really long time, and it finally happened in maybe the greatest way it could have, which is like, oh, this extremely beautiful and tender moment between Yor and Anya, that just like is drawn in just an absolutely breathtaking way. I love this. This was so incredible. I was like, we're able to, I'm able to like look at Spy Family Chapter 1 and Spy Family 120, and I'm like, there is a marked difference in our main characters. It's not just the cast around them that's changed. They themselves now are finally...
They're actually evolving now, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm super pumped about that. I thought this chapter was great. I don't know how fast this progress is going to go. Maybe once this train kicks off, who knows? I mean, Lloyd is supposedly going to be looking into Yor, so who knows?
What's he going to find?
Yeah. But I assume it's going to be a comedic joke about how he looks and can't find anything about Garden, but somehow finds like 1,000 things out about like her coworkers or some dumb shit like that. But this is a good chapter. Really enjoyed it. And oh my gosh, we are so behind on time.
Yeah. So I'll try to pick it up. Hima-Ten, chapter number 51, Himari's strategy. Himari has acknowledged as well that she's got a crush on a boy, so she's trying to figure out the best way to get Iamori to like her back. And so she goes to the best resource you possibly can. Fucking teen magazine. Just like, how do I get someone of the opposite sex to love me? And the advice she gets is make him instinctively afraid of losing you. And so she's like, oh man, what do I do? The more experience that we have together, the more he'll be afraid of losing that. So she realizes I got to make him anxious about losing what we have. So she gets some more advice. And then the next day at school, she's late to their meeting to hand off the bento box that Iamori has made her. She's deliberately not paying much attention to him. Like she's just kind of like looking at her phone while they're talking, doesn't respond much to him. And when he starts to like make small talk, she's like, lunchbox. And that's it. Says goodbye. Immediately, Iamori realizes like she's acting weird. So he starts to say something to her. And immediately, Himari almost loses it because he's like, Yoshino, and just freezes up. Never mind. Could have potentially done something immediately right there. But Himari realizes, like, oh, it is affecting him. So I got to keep on going with this. I got to keep on hurting the person I love.
It's rough, man. You're like, oh. I mean, she did get this advice out of, like, a fucking teen magazine, but still.
Iamori's immediately like a little bit needy puppy, like, oh, like my friend's not paying attention to me. So he realized like something is up, but he chalks it up to like maybe she's just tired from work. But like as their classmates come in while they're sitting next to each other in class, Himari's really bright and cheerful with everyone except him. So Iamori goes over to Terasaka and is like, explains the situation, and Terasaka immediately is like, Himari's giving you the cold shoulder. What did you do? So he figures that something is up because there are some times when Himari, gets moody, but he's like, this is different. Something's different about this. So Terasaka realizes pretty instantly what's going on and is like, oh my god, she's playing hard to get. So she's like, she didn't say anything to me. It's probably just all in your head. But goes off and is like, hey, Tanichi asked me for advice. Texting Himari, did something happen between you? And Himari's like, shit.
Well, she's not like shit. She's like, sweet. This is like, it's working. I keep getting more and more attention, basically, the more I treat him like
This
shit.
Is perfect. It's time. Himari's got to work at Himari's place at that point, and so she again is just kind of like cold shoulder. Yep, I'll leave you to do your work. And so Himari's like, maybe Terasaka's right though. Maybe this all just is in my head. But then he catches that Himari looks back at him when she's on her way to her room. He starts to say, what's going on? And he, no, just looking outside, looking past you, not looking at you, not looking at you. Goes to play with her cat. Iamori tries to really sell the food that he makes her this time. It's like, it's so good. Chicken stir fry. It's perfect for the cold weather. Thanks. Does not accept it very enthusiastically. Look at how clean everything is. I'll look after I eat. And so Iamori...
Looking is so easy, though. Like,
just look over your shoulder.
You don't even have to get up. You have like an open space apartment. You can see everything.
Iamori finally has enough and grabs Himari by the hood of her hoodie and just kind of pulls it up and says, what's going on with you? Why are you acting this way? And Himari tries to be like, what are you talking about? Stop. What are you messing with me over? And he says, look, if you're upset with me, yeah, deduct it from my paycheck. But something's going on with you. You're avoiding me. And Himari immediately loses it. She's all flustered. I'm not avoiding you. I'm just busy and tired. So she's like, I can't show how tired I am at school. And I was just like using you as an outlet. I didn't do it on purpose. And immediately Himari's like, all right, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I like grabbed your hoodie. That was so uncool of me. And Himari's like, yeah, why are you being so upset? Just because I was a little cold to you. You were so worked up. And Iamori tries to beg off and says, like, I just didn't know what the problem was, okay? I gotta do a lot of work, so, hey, So Himari starts talking to him a little bit more openly. It's like, I've got all this work done today. I think I could take the next holiday off. You want to go on a date with me for Labor Day? And Iamori understandably gets kind of flustered over that, and Himari's like, yeah, day off and stuff, and I'm going to enjoy myself, and I want to pay you back for the work that you've done for me and stuff. You work hard and everything, and I want to show you my appreciation, and this is also a way for us to, cheer each other on our careers. Unless you don't want to. And Himari's like, no, okay, we'll do that. And Himari escapes into her room, collapses against the door. It worked! It worked perfectly! Now, all I need to do is show him who Himari Yoshino really is. So, all the stops are gonna get yanked out when they go on this date. And Iamori, for Labor Day, he's all dressed up, as in he's in his school uniform with the tie removed. He's gonna go and meet up with Himari for a date, which, in his mind, is gonna be kind of like co-worker / friendly.
Yes. Yeah, she's making a mistake, She is unfortunately learned or getting lessons for the wrong place. And you do sometimes get attention using the cold shoulder treatment. It's kind of a shitty thing to do to a person when you could just openly talk to them. But they're teenagers, so they make mistakes. And, I think Himari is unfortunately going to get the... I don't think this date's going to work out as well as she's hoping, because she feels like she needs to get some kind of comeuppance for following this advice and kind of playing with Iamori's emotions. And we did just get introduced to a character last week who had a part 1 in her chapter title's name. So wouldn't be shocked if she ends up kind of playing spoiler to this date in some way.
Possibly. It definitely is not going to go the way Himari expects it to.
Yeah.
It can't. Ultra the Flame, Chapter 11, The Iron Spirit. Topirko meets up with a bunch of dwarf guys who are in a A-team pose for some reason as they're sneaking around. She comes across Syndra, who is still observing the battle between the Bladehorn and Ocher. Ocher is, holding his own, but his blade is starting to crumble because he's been fighting for so long. And Syndra is starting to realize that something's up. And she says, "Hey, Etapirko, Sophilgia awakened because Ocher shared part of his life, right?" And she realized, like, this guy's a human child. He doesn't live as long as us dwarves, but he's given up so much of his young life to fight for us, and he is fighting. She hefts up her hammer, rushes to the forge, and she says, "I can't hear the spirit's voice. All I can do is pray. I can't join in the battle, but I don't need to. I need to make what I want, when I want, for whomever I want. That's my job. I don't know if this will help, but it's all I can do." And so she gets out a hot piece of metal and prepares to strike it with her hammer and says, "How long are you going to sleep for, Iron Spirit?" And she channels her soul as much as she can through her hammer, strikes it, and declares, "This is my battlefield." And with one strike, there's a huge burst of energy, and a whole bunch of giant iron fragments turn into a face in front of her as the Iron Spirit awakens. I do like its design.
Yes.
It's very ragged looking. The Iron Spirit introduced himself as Brock, the one formed from metal fragments. The Bladehorn's like, "Shit." They awaken the Iron Spirit. The Iron Spirit says some cool stuff and says, "You look withered, Flame Spirit. Your flame has indeed warmed me up, though, and I return to... It's my turn to lend you strength." And with energy, you go towards Ocher, surround his blade, and two spirits now exist inside of him as he forms flame and iron together into Crimson Sword Iron Gauntlet. Big sword, big gauntlet on the arm. The Bladehorn's like, "Shit, gotta kill him." Summons an even bigger version of the ice fragment slash from before, and Ocher just powers through it, shatters all of it in one blow. And Ocher says, "This is going to be the last strike for both of us, so I will send you to Valhalla." And he moves in, strikes with a big, spectacular attack, red hot iron brilliance. Blood gushes from the Bladehorn, who basically admits defeat and says, "I shall await you in Valhalla," as he drops, presumably dead. That's the chapter.
Yes. It's a really cool chapter. I thought this chapter ruled. The action in it was really cool. I love the Iron Spirit. I love the upgrade it gave Ocher. Just really cool and effective chapter. Yeah.
Ping-Pong Peril.
Yes! Ping-Pong Peril. It's like stepping on an elephant stepping on an ant.
Just like an elephant stomping on an ant. And just like someone shoving the other person away and gave musical chairs. Those things are two equally impactful things.
I mean, look, when you're like 11 years old and you get body checked onto like the gym's floor because somebody was much more interested in musical chairs than you, I mean, yeah, it's kind of like getting stomped on by an elephant.
That kid got hip checked in the face. She had to like launch herself up in order to do that move. That's crazy. You don't usually go up when you do musical chairs. You just go down into the seat. Anyway. So yeah, we know that Tyra is in a dire situation because he has to defeat his opponent Mizuki, which means he won't move on. If that happens, he has to take from someone else in order to go on himself. And as a result of that, he can't really concentrate on the match that is unfolding. And the ping pong battle goes further and further in Mizuki's favor because although he did gather his resolve to fight against Mizuki, he's distracted, he's wavering, and he can't focus as much as he normally can. But Tyra realizes that he is hesitating, and he goes back to a time that he was in middle school when he was a big ping pong champion, and his coach at the time, Pari Hebizuka, who was a former Olympic hopeful and has all this snake imagery, including super long sleeves, so they look kind of like snakes, told Tyra, "Hey, you're freaking hesitating. You can't hide that from me."
There was there's like a basket of like snake tropes for a character to have, and this dude fell into it, and he's covered in all of them. And he's like, "Sorry, my name's Hebby. I look like a snake. My eyes are kind of pupil dilated. Like I've got everything."
Got kind of like the flat face, so it looks like they don't have a nose.
Yeah.
But they point towards the scoreboard where Taira is winning dominantly, but has allowed his opponent to get a couple of points in. So it's game point for Taira, but the other guy's gotten a few points. And he's like, yeah, whenever I look at my opponent, I just see all the anxiety that is emanating from them. When you're up 10-0, you make a mistake on purpose, you give them a point, so they don't feel that bad. It's kind of like it's a mercy rule, And Hebizuka says, you misunderstand the mercy rule. The mercy rule is not sympathy. It's putting someone out of their misery. You kill them by gifting them a point during a serious match. You end their career as an athlete. Ping pong is kill or be killed. This is before ping pong panic is introduced in Tyra's life. Ping pong is kill or be killed.
This is still normal ping pong at this point.
In this world, you either win or lose, and that's it. There's no room for something like mercy. And in the present, Taira recalls that lesson and realizes ping pong's win or lose, and that's it. There's no room for emotions. And he scores a point off Mizuki by striking in this twisting backhand strike. And he says, I was wrong. After running away from serious matches for a while, I'd forgotten I need the resolve to fight through to the end. And you can't qualify a reason to win as noble or ignoble. And now Mizuki realizes, all right, I guess the psychological warfare is not going to go. Fine, then. That doesn't change anything. So,
I guess I'm just going to use this gun.
He's still got the gimlet shot, though, and Taira still has to find a way to make his way to the other side of the bar to return it if it twists away from him. So he's still got that ace in the hole and is holding steady. But Taira realized, chair, that's going to get in the way. And then he's like, lay this chair down. Lays the chair down in front of the bar, and the next time that Mizuki goes for the gimlet shot, he uses the chair as a step to launch himself over it and return the ball. He hits the other side of the bar and falls to the ground when it happens. But he gets the point, and that's what's important. And now Mizuki's the one who starts to get kind of distracted because he's like, are you okay? And Taira's like, hey, I got to move around as much as I can while I'm still young, right? And Mizuki's like, all right, this fucking kid. I like this kid.
Yeah, I mean, when you're that young, you could do that shit over and over again. But as my mom informed me earlier today, I'm old, so I could do that trick once, and then I'd be like, all right, if you could just aim them down this way from now on, old man, I'd really appreciate it.
The score is dead even as they get up to 13-12 with Taira in the lead. He goes for the wall smash, but this time Mizuki is expecting it, so he's like, but I know he's going to expect it. And this time, he doesn't strike against the wall, and instead goes against the edge of the bar counter and ricochets around and gets a second bounce in, which means that Taira has gotten an edge shot, which he didn't really intend for. And he starts to apologize for winning basically on a fluke, and Mizuki immediately cuts him off and says, nah, a point's a point, you win. And Taira feels kind of guilty about that, but he says, you could have probably aimed for more edge shots with your level of control. And Taira feels kind of guilty again, and Mizuki warns him, that's a bad habit. Don't worry about how you win, especially when playing Ping-Pong Peril. And he tells him to get his prize money and get out. And so Taira very quickly thanks him, runs out, and Mizuki, although he's lost, is like, all right, that's a good kid. How could I hate him after losing to him like that? And he says, it'll be interesting to see how far he goes in this world. Although I suppose things are only beginning for me as well. And he makes up a drink, a Bloody Mary, which we are informed in helpful narration, in the language of cocktails, its name means burning heart. It's been 3 chapters, Quinn.
Yes. Now, do we want to keep talking about Ping-Pong Peril, Nick?
I mean, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, look, there's just not another series like this in Jump right now. Also, I mean, it is a sports series, so I'll eat up my crumbs, in this 3 sports series block. One of them presumably had to stay in the recap. So if we don't take this, we have to go back and take Aiken and Bros.
Oh God. I don't know if this is going to stick around at all. This is the 4th series that came out in a run of 4 new ones. And it's definitely got a weird premise, but it's fun and it's different, and that counts for a lot in our books.
Yes.
So we'll stick with it for however long we get it.
Yeah, sometimes you get those series that surprisingly stick around, like an Ultimate Exorcist Kiyoshi, Chapter 53, Favorite Worst Nightmare.
Yeah, with a character as eccentric and weird as Kiyoshi, who, says a bunch of shonen one-liners in this and just generally stoic and doesn't respond at all to Astaroth's
It's
whole thing.
it's very interesting. It's like fucking Usui didn't like failed the conversation zero with himself, and you now have like it's like a role-playing game where you just have one dude who's way too big and another dude who's just like super normal, and they just don't bounce off each other at all.
Yeah. It's just a wall against Astaroth. A wall that's got a lot of energy attacks and stuff. Kiyoshi channels a whole bunch of his power into what he hopes will be the final blow, then gathers it and concentrates it into a ball that fits in his hand, rushes in towards Astaroth, goes to launch it. Lux Nova Stella! Blah! Huge explosion. And Astaroth's gonna be like, oh man, yeah, that was great. I felt the death. Yeah, get up. Keep on going. Yeah, he's fine. He's totally fine. On top of that, a bunch of the other spirits that were previously exorcised are starting to just come back to life. Everyone's in really deep trouble now. Jack Joe and Nehan merge again in order to try and hold people off. But everyone's in really deep trouble. People are picking each other's bodies up. Sosuke can't even walk on his own. He's being carried around. And Mukurokuju, I think, is the one who's responsible for this. He is basically resurrected everyone. Jack Joe and Nehan declare that Kiyoshi is definitely going to exercise the great demon lore. They just have to buy time and have faith in each other. Unfortunately, Kiyoshi's got no energy left. He put everything into that attack, and it hasn't even left any permanent damage on Astaroth, who attacks him with some more dark energy, and is like, "Come on, come and get me! You're not finished yet, are you?" Oh wow, is that it? Oh, and he falls in despair, gets really pissed, stands up, declares Kiyoshi is trash, and is now just gonna yandere him, basically. Like, you disappointed me, so I kill you now. Hefts up his sword, says, "We're through." But, getting in the way, unexpectedly, it's Akari, who just gets in the way, holds her hands out, and Astaroth, for some reason, just stops swinging his sword. I guess just is so stunned that she's there. And he asks, "Who are you?" And she says, "I'm Kiyoshi's partner," while drawing her cross. And that's the end of the chapter. She intercedes in this in order to help out Kiyoshi.
I don't know what to even... I'm glad she's getting focused, but I feel like she's just going to get her shit pushed in to give another reason for Kiyoshi to get stronger. And it's like...
he started off the battle strong because a fellow exorcist of his had the shit beaten out of her. So now
he's just got to bookend it.
Recharge the batteries right at the end. Yeah.
He's getting a little low, and he's just like, is there a woman around who could get beat up so that I could get stronger to protect you, please?
After we established that the reason that Yuta turned heel was because a woman in his life died. So we got all flavors of women getting free.
And Sosuke's mom died.
Yeah.
It's starting to make sense. This series doesn't like women.
No.
I don't want to accuse that. This just whatever. I don't like Akari. Cool. If she does something, it'll be pretty cool, but I just really expect she's just
if she does something.
I just think she's going to get threatened, and Kiyoshi's going to get stronger to protect her, which, who cares?
Marriagetoxin chapter 134. The drone user was zooming in on Shiori's expression last time to see how broken she is, but she's not broken. Those are the eyes of a hunter. She must be plotting something. And the CEO is just like, yeah, he kind of gets what's going on. The drone user's like, oh, come on, what the hell can she do? And the CEO says, I mean, I can't really blame you if you're so blind you don't understand what's going on. And he signs off. The drone user's like, I know what's going on. I'm dedicating my entire life to scrutinizing humans. And then he gives this backstory about how he was a creepy stalker and got caught being a creepy stalker while climbing up a telephone pole to take pictures of people. When he got caught, he fell and ended up in traction as a result of that. But when he'd woken up, the soul fulfillment of his had been exposed. My entire family had disowned me. I was stuck in a body that would never walk again. And then the doll user approached him. And the doll user said, I am here to affirm your perversion. Ugh. Okay.
People say that all the time. It's like the line you hate to hear in your life. You're like, ugh, again, affirming my perversion.
So the drone user's like, yeah, everything worked out great for me. I've got all these drones that the doll user bestowed on me. I've got these special eyes that let me see through their cameras directly. I can spy. I've got blackmail and coercion. I'm a huge professional in this. And I've even succeeded in sneaking a shot at that inscrutable doll user's face. A dinky little girl like that could never outsmart me. And then the camera that's showing Shiori's face, pew, goes black.
But that's bad.
The drone user says, why is everything going wrong today? What's going on? And then the monitor shows him from behind. There's a camera behind him that he's now seeing through. And he's like, what's going on? And a whole bunch of the cameras are now showing him. Cameras trained on him instead of all the people he was spying on before. And he sees a shadowy figure. And he's like, what's going on? You're looking at me, aren't you? This leaves me with no choice. And then he just starts groveling. Please have mercy! Immediately gives up. But the shadowy figure turns and walks away. And the drone user's like, I'll just pretend I've lost my will to fight and then create an opening. And then I'll use my drones to zap the intruder. Wait a minute. Why is the guy that I'm looking at me? I just see me. He collapses as in reality, it turns out, he's been under some form of hallucination because Gero found him, tracked him down, and sprayed him with a special poison that made him hallucinate. And we get his sister there as well. Nice to see her. And it turns out that Shiori asked Gero a favor, which is that she realized when they went to the printing place that her uncle was being threatened. And so she says, look, I'm not going to give up here, and I'm not going to break down over something like this happening to me. I've got to be ready to take over my father's company, and I can't do that if I'm always breaking down over stuff. So, yeah, she figured stuff out, and the thing that drove her to action was not looking out for herself. It was looking out for the people she cares about, which is very nice.
Yes.
The blackmailer is now taken care of course. So everyone at the printing press apologizes for everything and says, like, I'm sorry that we betrayed you. But Shiori's like, look, I understand. You were being threatened. I'm just glad that nobody was hurt. And she reaches out to him and says, I look forward to continuing to do business with you for a long time. And isn't that nice? And he tries to, rouse the troops and is like, hey, let's get this job done. And Shiori says, no, you guys have been exhausted from overworking. You can start with our order tomorrow. What a good person.
I was like, she's so nice.
The only good CEO.
If you have to have one.
But her uncle points out, like, that's kind of hard because, like, delivering the goods is going to take us more than a day, and Chateau Honore releases their product the day after tomorrow. Even if we get the printing done tomorrow, you're gonna be behind, and they're gonna snatch away your sales. But Shiori says, not to worry. She says, I'm not throwing in the towel. I have a plan. Gero is still with Akari, another Akari, his sister Akari, in the drone user's lair, and says, all right, so you were already looking into Urishino's aunt's coma, and now you've helped us examine the guy's drone and trace his location and stuff. So, hey, she's been hacking on behalf of the group and has been doing good stuff. But as she's going through the drone user's computer, there is a very heavily protected folder, which is labeled Doll User. And when they open it, they see an image, and wouldn't you know it, it's the Doll User with their mask off, and it's Sensei? Which feels like it's not the twist.
It's a twist for them, but we've all, like, Sensei's been super sus for a while now, so I think we're mostly just starting to, like, collide the the ongoing story that's been going on since this saga or whatever we want to call it started. Because there's like 2 more girls to get featured at some point, like Ushio and the poison girl, I think, or not the poison, but the girl who has like a rocker kind of look.
Shiori's friend, yeah.
Yeah. That so presumably those 2 will get involved somehow, somewhere going forward. Or is there a third one I'm not thinking about?
Ushio was involved when the doll user first started showing up, but she wasn't affected by it, I don't think.
Yeah.
Anyway, that is Marriagetoxin. Really like this chapter. It was nice. It was just a nice turnabout chapter that got to highlight hey, this is the kind of leader that she is. It's nice.
All right, Nick, we saved plenty of time. Let's talk about new Exorcist.
It's chapter 187, A New Battlefield.
107. I panicked for a moment.
We skipped 80 chapters. It's fine.
And honestly, if they were still at the point where they're and then Gakuro, you will confess which girl you love, I'd be like, that makes sense.
Suzuku demands Ishu give her an explanation of why she has betrayed her, and Ishu says, Nue gives me more freedom, and you're kind of stifling me, Lady Suzuku. And Suzuku's like, and is very much affected by this. Actually kind of funny. She's like, I'm too much of an overbearing parent. No! And it's physically affecting her. And Ishu admits that she doesn't even actually mean this. Is it's because I've got to help us win this battle. I don't actually believe these bad things about you and stuff. Gakuro thinks to himself, I can't believe that actually worked. There's a whole thing about how Suzuku blah blah blah. She's very strong, so they've got to exploit her family in order to get at her and stuff. And Ishu starts saying your song recitals bored me, and Suzuku's like, no, you were moved to tears, and it's all a distraction so that Yozora can come in. She's cloaked under and stuff and swinging the big old sword, and she's like, let's see if she sees this coming. Cuts all the way through and is being like, I win, I'm the best, yeah, worship me. It was a doll. It was not actually the real Suzuku. She summoned an ice mannequin the whole time. She was never actually there. It was all a double. She's fine. And Suzuku has also been using Raisei's presence erasure. That's why nobody noticed. And she says, now it's time to implement my plan. And we briefly cut over to Raisei, who goes, Suzuku, all is ready. Blah! A huge rumble happens, and it's inside the reality-cleaving barrier, the entire hotel that they're in. Okay. But Gakuro is worried about the cursed-nitis, the thing that'll kill everyone instantly, so he starts rushing out, but Nue says, I was prepared for this! Blah! Her power is very limited, Quinn. There's only so many things she can do in this form. Anyway, she completely blocks everything instantly. All of Suzuku's maids who were there to attend the wedding, they draw weapons, and Suzuku says, I've got to deal with you, Gakuro. Before you marry Ishu, there is one task I'm going to finish, which is massacring your other women. Let's find the ugly vixens who torment our Ishu and exterminate all of them. So the maids go out to kill people. And they're running around to, kill all the innocent bystanders. Gakuro says, I'll let you do that! But he's cut off by a wave of ice. If only Gakuro had 5 powers that let him move very quickly, but it's impossible. He just can't. He's frozen to the spot now under the ice. He can't do anything. He is determined to protect everyone in the hotel, but it's okay because other people are there too, including Moro, who shows up in his soul armor and blocks one of the maids from killing an innocent bystander. And he says, the penalty from using my Shikigami is over, the thing that he cut off his power in order to fight. Anyway, and then Suo says, Master Moro, we have evacuated all the guests. Thanks for doing that off panel. Thanks. So then they get the few remaining innocent bystanders on Suo's jet thing, and she takes them out. And Gakuro is like, wow, she's so fast. Yep. Moro says he'll take on the level 4 spirits. Yozora says to Gakuro, Your squad members are waiting for their orders. No, wait, that's Nue, not Yozora. So she says, get in there. And Gakuro says, hey, everybody, come over here.
Hey,
We're
guys,
gonna fight Suzuku now. And she's really big and bad, and we gotta combine our strength and work together to beat her.
All right, bitches, let's go. Sorry, I meant that as like a camaraderie thing, but I realized how it came out just meant like I was sounded like I was derogatory to you.
Gakuro, we've got to fight. We got to do something. Oh, no, I just think that it's, as your boss, technically, I understand that, like, technically I'm your superior, but that doesn't give me the ability to, the right to mistreat you. If anything, I should be held to a higher standard. Oh, we're dead now.
Oh, I just want everybody to know that even if I have this position of power and the power imbalance, and they're like, Gakuro, please, you have no power.
Gakuro, we are constantly winding up naked in bed with you. Like, it's far too late to have this conversation, honestly. Anyway, they're all going to work together. So it's Gakuro with Shiroha, Suo, and Chitatsu, and they're all in their soul armor and stuff, and they're going to go and fight Suzuki together.
Yes, they are. I think it's wild that last chapter took place in like a ice church in the sky, and they decided that wasn't climactic enough of a showdown, so they
back in the hotel.
They went back to the hotel. Yeah, dumb series, but I mean, it could have been a lot worse, I guess.
This was not the worst chapter this week. It was at least eventful, and there was stuff to talk about. Akane-banashi, story 167, leave it all out there. We opened this chapter with a little post to Hikaru's Instagram of her and voice acting recording thing. Yep. Still in the middle of her performance, which I thought had just reached its climax last chapter. There's not really a whole lot more in it that happens in the story itself. So it's really just kind of like continuing the narrative about what drives Hikaru and everything. So the Ghost Okiku story continues. Kashio, the journalist, is like, this is the perfect role for her. This ghost with idol-like popularity. Everyone's drawn to her just as much as they are to the Rakugo. And Hikaru reaches a point in the story where Okiku basically starts like doing like idol poses and stuff because she's really into the crowd being there to be into her. And there is honestly a very cute, funny moment where she goes, Okiku, woo, booga booga boo. And I was like, yep, all right, she's got to ham it up, isn't she? Yep, everyone's laughing over it. The non-Rakugo judges are clearly reacting as well. We get more of a look into Hikaru's life, including fan hate. People saying she's only popular because she's pretty. And so Hikaru, this was before she became a Rakugoka, and so she decided, I want to gain confidence in myself, and I also want to gain recognition for my skill. And that's why she tried out Rakugo, which was established all the way back when she was first introduced. And as a result of, getting beaten, she had to confront the fact that she had a lack of skill and had to train to overcome Akane. And she tells herself it was to beat Akane, but at a certain point, that changed. And we see that at a certain event that she was doing with her master Iken, she started to see people in the audience reacting to everything. And discussed this with Iken later, who explained, hey, whenever you're telling us your story, whenever you're telling a story about your friend, don't you ever imitate their voice when you repeat what they said? That is the essence of Rakugo. Don't just act. Tell a story that only you can tell. And Hikaru has concluded that, yeah, I really do appreciate the time that I spent in Rakugo. If it'll bring my art to life, then I'm going to leave it all on the floor. And there's a really weird joke that the story ends on, which is that she counts to 18 instead of 9, and they're like, why did you count to 18 plates? And she's like, I'm taking tomorrow off.
I think that's kind of a funny joke. I mean,
it's kind of a joke.
In as much that the story's really just about a woman who goes to counts plates up to 9.
We end this on a 2-page spread of Hikaru in the creepy Okiku contrasted with the popular ghost Okiku being all goofy and stuff. And a big roar of applause at the end of it. And Iken is watching this on a stream, And he comments to himself, the ability to use your innermost emotions and even physical appearance as fuel to enhance your art and become a true jester and entertainer. Now you're looking like a Rakugoka. Hey, he's proud of his apprentice. That's it. Hikaru's performance is actually done now. So we'll now presumably get to see how she is judged next week. And we have not seen at all how Shomei has been reacting to her performance. I do think it's telling, though, that there was the line from someone that was, people are drawn just as much to the Rakugo as they are to her. So he might give her a little bit of props, but like it's too much of her in it seems like.
Yeah, I did think it was kind of cool that we got like, hey, this is one of Hikaru's specialty stories. You know, she's got her own specialty now. It's like not since like Toriko and somebody would like fill in one of their full course items when you're like, ooh, this is like an important thing. Because like signatures are supposed to be like the defining thing of a Rakugoka. Like she should be able to do this story the rest of her career and it'll still be just as enchanting, that kind of thing. I'm glad next chapter will presumably have other characters in it.
Speaking of other characters, let's finish things off with One Piece.
Fuck me. Okay, yeah. So One Piece, chapter 1155, The Rocks Pirates. There's a lot. I'm going to try to go through this quickly, but there is a lot of One Piece lore in this chapter. So we open, still in the flashback. The Rocks Pirates have landed, and they ran into Loki. And Loki is like, yeah, this is Elbath, but my dad isn't here. He's on an expedition. They're like, wait, did you say dad? Are you King Harold's kid? Does that means while he's on an expedition, you could still get in touch with them. What's your name? And he's like, Loki. Okay, Loki, you're going to do as I said. Say that Loki is gravely wounded, and you must return to Elbath at once. And Loki's like, when do I have to listen to what you humans say?
Why should I listen to you? Fuck you.
And we get a little description that says, Rock's sword attacks were famous for blasting everything in sight, like a gigantic hammer or a cannonball. And he just swings his sword and like fucking explodes Loki's knee. And he's like, see, now you're wounded now. Better call your dad. Ha ha ha. He's a real crazy guy. We go into a flashback within the flashback as we find out what happened at that event at the Reverie a year ago where King Harold went, where five kings...
It's a flashback because it goes to gray panels.
Yeah, Boruto, you pieces of shit. Apparently that was a flashback at the start, not an active scene.
It was a flashback that was not at all framed as a flashback, yes.
Yeah. I keep forgetting Boruto does that. Five kings have been attacked and captured. This is really, really bad. And Imu is just like, the lives of kings are no threat to Mu. And then Rock says, I suppose not, but your Holy Land is in a panic. And we get a little text box saying, in a historical anomaly, never repeated before or since, someone infiltrated the Chamber of Flowers at the very core of the Holy Land. We see a little shot of, I want to say a younger Genko, or Gunko, but I don't know if she ages anymore. So... she could be millions of years old. I have no idea. The narration continues.
Or if this is even technically actually Gunko.
Yeah.
Or if it's like some clone or whatever of her.
Who knows? The narration continues that the man described himself as a worshiper of Davy Jones.
Damn.
And he did not do anything more than this, as he knew he cannot. But before he departed, he left a warning that I will be back right here. Naturally, word of this is it's never happened, but as it just so happened, one other man was also infiltrating the Holy Land at this point. We see a bunch of the celestial dragons commenting on this very large person walking. Many of them just want him as a slave or to be killed. But Harold is on fire, and he's like, okay, fine, I get it. You guys don't really want to talk about negotiations right now. That's fine,
okay,
fine.
We'll put a rain check on this.
Yeah. But as he's on fire and running, he sees rocks coming from a different angle. And he says, he's like, oh, this must be the guy who kidnapped those kings. Well, I'm not going to be the fall guy. I'm going to seize him. And we get what honestly probably should just be a 2-page spread of Rocks and Harold clashing and their hockey sort of exploding. And it says it eradicated any signs of others. So, like, did people
So all
get...
the celestial dragons are dead.
Yeah, I was like, did it kill those people? I think it just means it like blew them away or something, but funny language there. Rox is kind of impressed by this. So he's like, oh, yeah, name yourself. And he's like, I'm Harold. Well, I'm Rox. Aim for that town the next time we do this, because if they capture you, they'll make you into a slave. And Harold's like, oh, I don't want that. They share a very brief exchange before Harold just jumps off the side of Marriageau with the two of them. We find out that the admiral struck by Rox was actually killed as a result of his wounds. And after many other crimes, Rox's name was launched into infamy, and he got a bounty. We don't know quite the total of it yet, but also he just kept fucking with the Marines afterwards. He attacked ships that were like going to there. He blew up the Gate of Justice and fled. Basically, very, very successful. And he started building up his own crew using a game that exists called the Davy Backfights.
I can't believe that this is an important thing. The goofy thing that was introduced is like, oh, this is why we're fighting the Foxy Pirates. No. Power plays were being made with this game.
It's all plot relevant. The Straw Hats are going to defeat the Blackbeard pirates in a game of Davy Black. I feel it in my bones. I do need to note, though, that because this chapter discussed the Davy Back fights, my boyfriend does not care for them. And he was like,
why?
He was like, this is stupid filler that wasn't even as good as the real filler at the time. And I was like, yeah, I've never seen the G8 arc. And he's like, oh, well, you have to see the G8 arc. And I was like, do I need to? It's not canon. Do I need to see the G8 arc? I watched 3 episodes. It's good. But I truly, I was like, I don't know. I like the Davy Black fights. I thought they were pretty cool. They were pretty creative. Minus the weird racism for Usopp and Luffy, but you know.
Fro gives him power. Come on.
Yeah. They note that this is how Rox is building up his crew and assembling such a powerful lineup for himself. And then they finally landed at Elbath and they talk to Harold, and Rox is like, you should join me because like talking to the world government's not going to work. And like, you could just beat them up. We could basically be unstoppable together. And Harold's just like, no, I've changed. I mean, I got good pussy recently and I'm a different man now. I'm not interested in all that other stuff. But Rox tries to like plead to the crew. He's like, if you follow this madman who's trying to declare war on the government, you'll all die. And everyone on the crew is just like, we don't give a shit. Like this, none of us give a shit about this dude. If he dies, we'll all just go our own separate ways. But they all have an incentive to be here. One of which is Stussy notes that she's like, I'm just kind of interested in what he's up to. But the rest of them, they're kind of on board with this plan because there's a place called Full-Lead Island, which basically is Australia. They were like, we're just gonna send all of our prisoners here. Shit, they terraformed it. Fuck. Actually, in this case, it turns out there was gold veins underneath the island. So all those pirates, all those criminals are now filthy rich now. They're all just swimming in it, and it is now a very valuable place. Rox tried to make a deal that he was like gonna go break them up and save them for the military. He was like, I'm not gonna do that. I just told them I was going to. I'm just gonna go recruit all of them and become king of the world and wipe out all of the Marines. And, the Harold's like, this is just too much, dog. I'm out. He's like Shark Tank. I'm out. I'm no more. Thanks though. But Rox gives his last little thing and he's like, there's no authority in the world that lasts forever. If we team up together, Harold, we're unstoppable. And a very young Loki is listening in from outside. He's hearing all this talk about world domination. He's like, the world. And we end the chapter.
Look, Quinn, it's a good thing that this kid who was hated by almost every one of his people didn't go out exploring with people who might have appreciated him. It's a good thing that he was stuck on this island the whole time.
We end the chapter with narration. It says 4 years later, after Harold's ignored repeated invitations, Rox finally carried out his plan. The formidable lineup that joined him caused the world to quake with terror as we see the Rox pirates with their pirate flag for the first time. It was noted before that they were flying without a flag, but now they are a full crew.
It's kind of a dumb flag, honestly.
I mean,
how are they gonna know we're the Rocks Pirates if we don't put a big Rocks logo up?
It's not the best. Look, they eventually streamlined pirate flag design. It was like just to have a skull and crossbones that kind of looks like yourself. This one, he wanted to put the full name in. I get it. You know, some people do this. My brother used to have a tattoo of his name down his arm. You know, some people just do weird things. You know, in case he forgot his own name at some point.
Was he the same guy who had the lock screen of his own face on the phone?
No, that was my friend who had a lock screen of his own face, and that decision's made more sense as I've learned more and more about that man.
Gotcha. Oh man, I like some of the little details in this. I like how Loki's like, my dad doesn't care about me, and then when he's like, hey, I know you're a strong boy, Loki, and you should stay away from the world. He's like just being really, really like, I love you, and I hope you're okay and stuff. And Loki's like, he doesn't actually care about me though, right? This is just a coincidence that he showed up. He's been so abused through all of his life, and his dad's been so absent but doing so much shit that he just doesn't believe that anyone loves him, and it's very sad.
Yeah.
I like seeing some of the looks of I like getting the full look at the important members of the Rocks crew. So, of course, we met Cheeky and Stussy and Whitebeard up before, but it's nice to get full explanations of this is kind of who they are in the present right now. And also we get a look at a couple other important figures, which I am not familiar with, so I'm going to assume they're new characters, and I will foolishly do that.
Some of them were new characters, or at least new for the context. I don't know how significant most of them are. Kind of the ones we already know, I think, are the more important ones. The other ones are little allusions to other things. I think we've heard about the crime families of the West Blue before, right. And the Commodore Fulalead Island is probably gone at this point, unless Blackbeard recruited the same guy to do it. But we shall see if any of those characters are relevant. I think there's some cool stuff there, but I mean, unless they reveal someone new in that crew that we know of, really. Yeah. I think everyone big's kind of been named at this point.
Yeah. Well, that's it. That's manga for this week.
Yes.
Well, you have a favorite chapter?
Nah. They were all pretty bad. No, I think my favorite chapter this week, I want to give it to Spy Family because that moment is so great, but I think I'm going to give it to Odor of the Flame because I really enjoyed that fight.
Okay.
I don't know, I just like that power up he got. Everything was solid in that chapter.
Yeah. I feel like there were a lot of good chapters that came out after Sunday. I was reacting to that oh man, Chainsaw Man had a really intriguing chapter. Dandadan had a great chapter with how incredibly violent of a throwdown it was, and yeah, I mean, freaking Marriagetoxin was one of my favorites this week too. I think I am gonna just go with Spy Family though.
Okay.
Because although I don't think it's as complete a chapter as some of the other stuff that we had this week, it definitely gets the biggest reaction to have in a moment like that. This is a big moment for the series in terms of stepping forward into what feels like a new stage of it, in terms of defining a difference in the relationship of the secrets that the family hold from each other. But it was also just done very well. Just such a lovely moment, and it felt both built up to and yet shocking because we're so used to just the status quo being maintained that to have something like this happen, it was very nice. My MVP is going to be Shiori from Marriagetoxin. I just really like the little displays of determination and leadership that she shows. The real clincher for me was right at the end of her actions in this chapter, where everyone's like, all right, now that we're free, let's get back to work. And she's like, no, you guys go home and you rest up. I've got a plan. Don't worry about it. You guys need to rest. She's just all about the people that she cares about.
Yeah, I can agree with that she does come off really good in this chapter. I think I'm going to give mine to Rox, because he's really significant in this chapter. I don't the moment of him just being like, "Hey, I know I'm inside your sacred chamber. I'm going to be back here again one day too, by the way."
Yeah.
It's like a very cool moment.
Baller move, yeah.
So really want to give props to him on that. The
It also
audience.
seems like he just kind of showed up too,
Yeah.
because it seems like it's a very important meeting was taking place, and he just showed up as like, hey.
Yeah, I'm very curious to find out how he got in there. Also, he's a worshiper of Davy Jones. That feels significant. Not
What
like,
does that mean, Quinn?
is he still around? The audience, by the way, picked Odor of the Flame as the chapter of the week and nobody for character of the week. Everyone misspelled rocks. They spelled it Hikaru, which that's not how you spell it. There's
Hickory?
Yeah, it needs to have an O in there somewhere to spell rocks, but they tried. That's the important thing.
That's going to do it, everyone, for this week of manga. Thank you all for joining us. Well, I think be ready for our big Evangelion discussion next week. So look ahead to that. And we'll be recording at our usual time around 7:30 Eastern time here at twitch.tv/RoloT. If you want a notification of exactly when the stream goes live, you can follow us on social media, RoloT, Nick F Time, and the Weekly Manga Recap BlueSky account. And you can also join the Discord server, which is linked wherever this podcast is posted to. We have our past episodes on weeklymangarecap.podbean.com in audio form, and it's also put up on feeds like iTunes and Spotify if you prefer to use those for your podcast listening purposes. We also have a video version available on youtube.com/weeklymangarecap with an opening sequence by Marriagetoxin and Wensleydale Cheddar, and occasionally title cards by Steve Man, whose artwork you can check out by just searching for Steve Man Art. We have a Google Doc, which is maintained by NinjaX3i, who updates it with the mysterious audience MVP voting week to week. You can follow the official WMR Votes BlueSky account as well in order to be informed of like, hey, when is it about time for me to make my voice heard and let people know that I liked the Akane-banashi character, because no one did it this week apparently. So if you want to be informed of that, be for sure to follow that account as well. And yeah, that's basically gonna do it. We'll have more next week.
That's it. All right, we can go now. We're just gonna leave. There's usually a great bit here at the end. Some people stay. Some people are like the famous WMR closing bits. They stay around for those specifically.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Ravi decided to go and take a nap, so I don't have him to show up to the camera. That'd be a great way to get. Yes, he sleeps a lot. He's a cat.
I know, but it's so cute.
He is very cute. I've shared a lot.
I know.
I
know. Oh, he's looking up at you. I know that I can literally go, like, I can leave this room and go into my living room where Professor Peanuts is always sleeping, and I could look at him right now sleeping. But it's so much more precious to know that your cat's taking a little nap right now.
Your cat's also being a cat. Oh, that's amazing.
Do you think our cats would like each other, Nick?
I hope so.
I don't think they would, unfortunately. They don't tend to do that a lot in my experience.
The cats are weird like that, but that's okay. Wouldn't love them as much if they weren't little weirdos.
Heck yeah. All right, bye.